It's showtime!
About to do this shit. Double up. Yo. I'm Sugar Ray Robinson, pound for pound the best. And you overprotected, never been in no real test. Mike Tyson eat your kids for lunch. I'm like Willie Pep, I could win a round without throwing a punch. Lennox Lewis had a glass jaw. If my grandmother hit him on the chin, he probably hit the floor. The Roto Duran, all-time greatest lightweight. Prince Nassim was whack, all the hype was fake. Leon Spinks was the ultimate slacker. Sugar Ray Leonard was great, but he should have lost to Hagler. The 70s had the best heavyweights. From Ali Frazier to George Foreman, there was so many greats. Bob Forster hit way too hard. He would have put in time.
All right, welcome to the October 15th, 2012 edition of the Nuthouse with BoxingAsylum.com. I'm joined today by Andy Patterson, great writer out of Scotland. Everyone should go to BoxingAsylum.com and read his five-part article on Roberto Duran. David Lobach, known as Wavier on the forums, and everybody's favorite forum poster in the history of boxing forums, Tommy Allen, better known as Tommy Gunn. How are you guys doing this day?
All right, mate.
Not bad, mate. How you doing?
Doing good. So last night we had an absolutely terrific night of boxing, but let's start at the more basic stuff and work our way into the really good stuff. Yesterday, David Price just knocked Audley Harrison into oblivion in less than a full round. So is any opinions on that fight, or was that just as we expected and we move on?
The fight went much like I expected it to. Price was always going to be too powerful for an aged Audley Harrison. His only chance he was connecting a one-in-a-million punch when Price's China chin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 300th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings. Joining me on the call this evening, we have Andy Patterson and Hater Dave Lobach, two of the original panel members, as you would have heard there. Ozzy Smith is also with us, live from Sri Lanka. Thanks to Ozzy for jumping on. Yeah, Andy, times have changed, I suppose, but there we were. That was the very first episode ever, October the 14th, 2012, a long time before I got involved, obviously, but the original voices, Matty was in charge and what have you, David Price knocking out Audley Harrison. Any thoughts, memories going back to those times?
Yeah, just we never really kind of thought we'd get this far, 50 episodes in, we were like, steam was running out, tempers were fraught, hosts were wanting to change and stuff, so yeah, it's been a good run actually, done pretty well. Obviously people have come and went, some people have hung by, new guys have come in, freshened up a wee bit, brought in some good interviews and stuff like that. So yeah, we went for strength to strength, absolutely. I mean, I remember we started off on Skype and then onto Mixlr and, getting banned live off YouTube and all that sort of stuff. So, we're still doing it, man.
Hey, to Dave, as Bob Marley says, good friends we've had, good friends we've lost along the way, or something like that. I'm afraid, I hope YouTube don't do us for copyright on me reading out those words. But obviously YouTube were after us, Dave. Back in the days, it was Skype and what have you. I think about half of the episodes I think I've been involved in, about 150 or so. I came in around Frampton Martinez 1, which would have been 2014. So about 2 years in, I got involved first of all. You were obviously there from the beginning, but you weren't, Dave, introduced as the hater. Is this something that's grown like a seed over the years?
That was Matty.
I guess so. It's surprising to me because in our highlight, you'll notice a lot of the hate is not coming from me. Check out that highlight on our YouTube channel. It'll be posted in the next few days. Been a long 6-year ride. I believe I've always been called hater for speaking the truth.
No, I remember Matty giving you that name because I think you've got an old saying in America called Haterade. And Matty says, he just said something, I can't remember what it was, and that Matty just says, so, we'll just start calling you Hater Dave rather than Haterade.
Well, honesty gets labeled hate sometimes.
It certainly does. I tell you what, there's going to be plenty of hate tonight if that's what people have tuned in for. Ozzy's on board, obviously, and he was laying into a certain Dave Allen last week. People seem to enjoy that one. And he's going to be laying into someone else as well this week, aren't you, Ozzy? Like I said, you're up in the the bunker in Sri Lanka there, but you have managed to see Frankie Gavin's European title opportunity against Mr. Kerman Lejarraga or whatever you want to call him, pretty much. Frankie, it says here on BoxRec Aussie, Gavin weighed in above championship limit and as such was not eligible to win the title. It was Lejarraga's body shots that made sure that Frankie was going to have no chance of winning the title anyway.
It was, and it was one of the only fights while I was managing to travel at a court, and what a surprise, he was destroyed. Funtime Frankie should be known as Fat Boy Frankie, to be honest. 5 pounds overweight. 5 pounds. 147, he's not even a 147 fighter. He should be 140 or at best a lightweight. Instead, he claims he can't make 140 because he doesn't believe in people eating 5 meals a day, because that means they can't make 140. Instead, he has a diet of beans on toast and Diet Coke and still blows a weight of 147 and weighs in 5 pounds overweight for a European title shot he doesn't even deserve. He, to be fair, gets in there and actually the Spaniard absolutely walloped him to the body and destroyed him. And it was in the 4th round. I think he hit him with a shot and it's like it crippled Gavin and he was just a static object. And to be fair, he fought back. But at the same time, he was ultimately outclassed in the end and dominated. But it's no shock. Frankie Gavin is not a 147 fighter. So why are we shocked? Yet again, he botched the weight. It's an embarrassment. He shouldn't have even had this opportunity anyway. Let's be brutally honest. Since his defeat to Sam Eggington, what did he have? He's had a win over Reynold Garrido by 2 points. He's then defeated Felix Matamoros, stopped him. He's then had a points win prior to the Kerman Lejarraga win over Kevin McCauley. How does that equivalent to a European title shot? It doesn't. He got one. Fine, that's boxing. People get an opportunity, perhaps undeserved. Things happen. And what did he do? He didn't even bother to make weight. In my opinion, despite him getting lost, despite him getting not just lost, he should be embarrassed. He should be stripped 50% of that purse, purely for the fact he made no intention to make the weight. 5 pounds is an embarrassment. We're not talking a few ounces here or a pound, and he's a guy who's been tight the weight for a number of years, and we've seen it coming. This was a joke, and I think he had the cheek to blame his coach not being there. Fuck off, Frankie. You went to Spain. You're not flying to the other side of the world where you've got a bit of water retention here. You flew out, I think, 10 days before the fight. You're still in the EU. You've not flown far whatsoever. You'll be absolutely fine. Now, walk away. Why should people pay him and give him another payday only for him to blow up in weight again and miss it and make just no intent? It's a real.
You're breaking up, Oz.
Yeah, is everybody else hearing that? I think we are losing Ozzy. I know he's a bit quiet as well. Hey, to Dave was saying, I have turned him up to full capacity on my controls as far as I'm able to, and I've got him a little bit louder, but he was slightly breaking up there. Ozzy, do you want to just unmute yourself and have another go just to see if we're getting you any clearer, Oz?
Hello.
Yeah, go on.
Where did you hear me up to then?
You were laying into Frankie and you were talking about his coach not being there and you were ranting forthwith.
Yeah, so essentially, I was just saying that I don't understand if we can blame his coach for not being there when he's only flown out to Spain a week out from the fight. It's not as if we're going to America here and, you know, he's got a bit of water retention. He's only got, a couple of hours on the plane, etc., things like that. And he completely blew it. So, in my opinion, he got this opportunity undeserved. He blew it. And for me, unless he decides to make weight again, I have no interest in seeing him in the ring. No interest whatsoever.
Okay, I must confess I haven't actually seen this Frankie Gavin fight. I was at a show in Belfast last night where I met up with a couple of friends of the pod, actually. Shout out to ring card girl extraordinaire Judy Fitzgerald, who has been on with us in the past. Judy was doing the ring card duties. Looking well, I must say. Also, Kane Clark, friend of the pod, was there as well. Shout out to Kane. He was supporting Connor Cook, who was boxing. So that was a Belfast show that I was at. Therefore, Andy, I didn't get a chance to see Frankie. But we have had a question in from someone who did see the fight. It was the Box Bet Beast. He said, what might Frankie Gavin have achieved, Andy, if he had put 100% into his career? Is this one? I'm not saying that the Box Bet Beast is saying this, but is this one of these things where we sort of give someone a pass and say, oh, just imagine how good he could have been if he'd been able to make weight? And has he done as well as he possibly can? Or what do you think, Andy?
I think he should be absolutely lambasted for his career. If you look at his career and stuff, it's like 26-4 now. Not exactly bad if you look at it, for that distance. But if you really get into it and you've actually followed his career and stuff like that, the thing is with Gavin is this: top amateur, great amateur. I mean, I think he had over something like 120 odd fights and stuff, and won like 100 of them or something. He's beat the best at his weight. First ever English champion at world level. EBA champion twice, 3 times. He lost to the great Mario Kindelan, but he's fought like Tashenko. He beat the Italian Domenico Valentino, Zapavenia, Seluk Aydin. These are no bum fighters. These are decent operators. Commonwealth gold, European Union gold, and stuff like that. So amateur records no really up for debate. I really don't know if it's like something. We do know there were some personal problems, deep-rooted personal problems. I suppose we could mention it, because I'm sure he mentioned it very publicly as well, that his son that he thought he brought up wasn't exactly his own son. So that could fuck up anybody. But at the same time, he's going to go down as the one greatest waste of talents in the last 15 years, 20 years, especially in the course of his career. I mean, remember Curtis Woodhouse fight at 147? He looked like dog shit in the scales. He probably lost that fight actually as well. If you go like say, Kevin McIntyre, for example, but McIntyre was way beyond his prime by that point. Junior Witter was the same, outpointed him in a kind of boring fight. Jason Wellborn was a decent victory. Denton Vassell at that time was a decent win.
That was a good win, I thought, actually.
It was a very good win. Vassell was coming off, I think it was like 3 or 4 successful Commonwealth title defences. I think he knocked out and stopped undefeated Ronnie Heffron at that time as well. So that wasn't a bum result. And then a fight like Bradley Price, and that would always take you rounds and that. And as we mentioned, the Bundu fight was decent. But then as his life kind of went on and stuff like that, he had a relatively kind of really. I would say he didn't win the Skeet fight. It was very close. I'll just say that. But then he's shipped over to a different promotion. He's got beat off Kilbrook. He's been massacred off Sam Eggington, which basically seen him kind of lobbed out a matchroom. But his entire career has just been like just poor. I mean, if you look at it in the grand scheme, he's got some decent names on his ledger, but the ones just aren't there. Poor training. He's taking pictures of himself eating pizzas and all that sort of stuff. He looked like shit. He looked like he'd just been dragged off the street actually at that weigh-in. He just looked like he says, "I'll grab that random bloke there and stuff." He's always had problems with his weight. He blamed us. I think he blamed the Amateur Association. I think he wanted Kerry Case with him actually over at the time when he at the Olympics and stuff. I think Kerry Case was involved with him at the time, but he somehow couldn't get to go to the Olympics.
That's right, Andy, yeah.
He had to drop out. I think I'm right in saying that. So he's basically been forced to turn pro. And, for there on in, actually, he just says we started off at 140. Should have remained there, but he just, I remember him talking about trying to make weight and that. He's eating pie, toast and beans. How is that conducive to making weight? You're basically pumping carbs into your body and stuff like that. You need to be stripping the weight off yourself. But as he says, with the correct nutrition, correct attitude, probably with the correct guidance and stuff like that, he should really have been at 140. 135 would have been an absolute push, probably, but 140, absolutely, definitely, he should have been at that weight for the best part of his career. And then maybe we're talking about his mid-30s, so this would be the point you'd be thinking about moving up in weight. No coming in at 152, 153 pounds and stuff like that and getting absolutely melted like that. He did well. I mean, you could see the talent there. You could see the talent last night. He's dropping shots, body, uppercuts through the middle and stuff like that. You could see it. Can you imagine that guy being fully fit? Good stamina and stuff like that. He'd be an absolute fantastic fighter. But he's just we gassed after 2 rounds. You could see Lejarraga or Lejarraga, if you can pronounce it. He just goes the distance and he just started working the body. You could see, I think he helped him with a left hand, and then you could see, I think Frankie was actually kind of covered up at the time. Basically staggered the legs, and then that was all she wrote. The left hand, the body. That was it.
What about Lejarraga, Andy, going forward? I mean, you know, he's ranked top 5 by the WBC, by the IBF. He's also ranked top 10 in both of the others. He's around sort of the top 10, I think, in BoxRec as well. Where do we see him going from here? He's going to get himself a shot at some title of some description, isn't he?
I would imagine at some point, but I think he maybe need to go through an eliminator. I know DeBella's talking him up there just now as well, but I think we might be looking at maybe like you probably need to get another 1 or 2 wins and that really kind of push him over, because I don't see like Porter, Thurman, Pacquiao, Spence, Crawford, or whoever line up to fight this guy anytime soon. And I'm not saying that because he's like some sort of danger man. He's not really a fighter really what you really want to fight, you know, unless you really kind of have to in a mandatory defence. So I think maybe a Kavaliauskas might be a decent step to see where he's at, because you can see even though Gavin was a couple of, you know, he was out of shape or whatever and that. Give that guy a movement and box him, you're going to give him major issues until he actually starts to wear you down. So I think, to be honest, I want to see him in with someone who is fit, someone who's coming to win, and we'll take it from there. But I don't think he's going to get a world title fight next. I think maybe like, say, who knows, Kavaliauskas, Jamel James, maybe Jesse Vargas or something like that. Maybe, you know, one of the fighters and stuff, see where he's at the kind of fringe level, and then we'll take it from there. But I don't see title fights anytime soon, like.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. He'll probably keep on trucking along. We've got 2 guests coming on at various points across the evening, plus some more amusing clips will be interspersed throughout the evening. I'll play them on my mobile phone for you to enjoy. And keep an eye on facebook.com/Boxing Asylum on Tuesday for a clip montage that has been put together by the one and only, the official voice of American boxing. He's with us now as well. Hey to Dave Loback. He's been involved in some of the funnier moments over the years. Tell me about Fun Time Frankie. I was thinking of another Frankie G, actually. Frankie Gomez will go down as a wasted talent as well, who couldn't make weight. I know that you would like to get stuck in and eat beans on toast with Frankie Gavin, Dave, but it's a chronic waste of talent, isn't it?
Well, I've never been really a big fan of baked beans. But that said, I would like to get stuck in on Tommy here. He was always a big pusher of Frankie Gavin, and he was on our first episode, obviously. An old pod stalwart also, having to do with the first episode, is Kurt Ward, Casual Kurt. He was I don't know if he was a big fan of David Price, but he had high beliefs in the man. So there's an L for those 2 gurus. But Gavin, I mean, I guess he has some heart when he's actually in there. Doesn't seem to have the discipline to train, or maybe he's just doing things completely wrong. He looked rusty as well in terms of like he just became stationary after a while. He just sort of forgot the game plan. Maybe it was his fitness, but I think to me it looked like he was just happy to start slugging, and that was certainly not his game. He got frozen by an overhand right, felt it hard, and made it blatantly obvious he was stunned. And Lejarraga, whatever, just followed up. That guy, I'm not too impressed by his boxing skills. Gavin was kind of schooling him early, and was clearly the better technician in there. Even in the round he got stopped, he was doing moves against him that you wouldn't see Lejarraga being able to do. The guy just kind of wings hooks in there. And credit to him, positives are he's in shape. He seems to have a bit of a dig, targets the body well, has a good work rate, seems to be able to take a punch, although Frankie's not a very big hitter. But I don't see that guy going all that far, really. I mean, look, Gavin was battered by Sam Eggington, and look where he is right now. I don't see this guy being a world beater, but you know he'll be somewhat entertaining. He seems to lead with his face and just wing punches, just big hooks. And against Gavin, it seemed like he was willing to take a nice clean shot just to land something much bigger, and that's actually how the finish was set up. Not the actual final finish, but like that's when he first hurt him. He was taking punches and just landed a much better one. Is there much to say about Gavin anymore? I mean, most of us predicted this loss. Most of us expected him to get smashed last night. Even last week, I think we were all saying he's going to get annihilated. and none of us really rate his opponent that highly. It's just we know, unfortunately, what Gavin's career has turned out to be and what he's turned out to be. I'm not a huge connoisseur or expert of his style and life outside the ring, so I can't really say why. But it's clear that he does have some impressive boxing skills and does not live up to it. I think it's a lack of discipline and losing sight of the game plan. Because he is, as we saw last night, he was able to school him for a little while, then just got sucked into it and destroyed. And, I mean, that body shot, that was beautiful, that placement. So credit to Lejarraga on that one. I don't think Gavin got up for maybe 2-3 minutes. He was on the floor just face in his hands, pretty humiliated.
Dave, just on a side note here, I was looking on Shawn Porter's record because obviously I was expecting Lejarraga maybe to be pushed in for a fight with Shawn Porter. And I noticed Porter is down to fight Yordenis Ugas. We all know about him, 23-3. I think he's one of these exiled Cubans, not great. Anyway, the fight is due to take place on March the 9th, 2019. Am I the only person who's thinking, God, I mean, why is it so... We have to wait, 4 months for a shit fight? I mean... Yeah. Am I being a bit harsh here, Dave? Are you not disappointed by that?
Oh, absolutely. But this has been a long time criticism of Heyman's style of making fights for me and for most of us on the pod. I mean, we have actually 4 months isn't bad compared to some of the shit we've had to wait forever for. Look at Leo Santa Cruz. He's not even fighting it. His next fight is going to be against someone no one has heard of or cares about.
Pathetic.
Like he should. The Frampton rubber match should have happened probably 2 years ago. Like, what has he been doing all this time? It's ridiculous that he fights like maybe once a year. Gary Russell Jr. fights once a year. Actually, he finally had like a semi-meaningful fight not that long ago against Jojo Diaz, right?
Yeah, and but Russell actually refuses to fight, doesn't he? He actually says to his corner and to Heyman, I only want to fight once a year because it's about preserving his body or something.
Maybe that's down to him then. But I mean, it's still a constant problem with Heyman fighters. Thurman, I mean, obviously Thurman was injured. Still, before he was injured, he was not especially active. Porter, I know, and his dad have actually had real conflict with Heyman over not being able to get enough fights. I think there was maybe a year or two ago some drama about them deciding to go their own way. Join a different promoter because he wasn't active enough and he wasn't getting the fights he wanted. Danny Garcia, I mean, he never fights. It's pathetic, really. Some of the Spence has not been active enough, and what's his next fight? It's not anything that's. Oh no, wait, no, he's going to fight Garcia. That's okay. That's acceptable to me.
Mm.
But his last fight wasn't great. I think before Garcia stepped up, they had something shitty lined up for Spence, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was maybe going to fight Ugas or something, I think.
That's sad. Yeah, that's piss poor. In fact, I'd much rather see Porter fight the guy that Gavin fought. I mean, the styles might make it interesting. They just wing hooks at each other for 5 rounds, and I assume Porter would knock him over eventually. He's got a little bit more craft and definitely multiple styles he can throw in. So that would be actually kind of fun. I'd rather see that than a guy who's already kind of, we know is not elite talent.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the PBC and a Heyman apologist, as many people know, but I can't even defend that Showtime list, I think it was, that they put, or Fox Sports list that they put out. I wasn't really impressed with hardly anything on that register, to be honest with you. It didn't get me excited whatsoever. Right, let's play another clip, shall we? This one is from you, Andrew, talking about Anthony Joshua. He was down to fight Eric Molina, and you were getting excited about a possible Molina win. Let's have a listen.
All right.
Oh, but it would be so good though. I mean, it would be better than pure sex. You know that time when you're going to have sex for the first time with someone and you didn't really want to wear a condom and you go bareback and you get it in there. You're like, oh, it's an amazing feeling. That would be the same feeling if fucking Molina pulls this off. Right?
There you go then, Andy. It wasn't to be, unfortunately. Molina didn't pull it off.
He didn't. Well, he could have pulled me off. Still would have pulled it off. My God. Yeah. Wishful thinking. End of the day, and that. We could all live and dream.
Exactly. Right. Let's move on, boys. I'll be coming to you shortly, Andy, on Maurice Hooker against Alex Saucedo. Let's go to you first, Aussie, on this one. It was a real war over on ESPN, or as we call it, the Electronic Sports Participation Network. Hooker eventually succeeded in winning the WBO super lightweight title against Alex Saucedo. Saucedo, you said about Dave Allen taking punches last week non-stop. He's like a scarecrow, isn't he, Saucedo? 28-0. They must have put him in with some tomato cans because he just basically blocks everything with his face.
Exactly, but clearly Dave Allen is the man to follow from if people want to use the head as the only form of defence. But no, being serious, that's exactly what it was. And I was quite impressed by the finish from Hooker, to be honest, considering he hit the deck prior to that as well. I was one who backed Terry Flanagan to beat Maurice Hooker, and he came out and upset the odds there. Again, I think it's fair to say, I think in terms of a betting favourite as well, Saucedo was a favourite against Maurice Hooker. And again, he's upset the apple cart. So it was an impressive display from Maurice Hooker, and he showed a bit of power as well. And I think it was a case of that he managed to hurt Saucedo, who would essentially have punched himself out in terms of he threw a lot of shots, and he didn't manage to get Hooker out of there. And I was impressed with the finish from Hooker. And I don't really know where he's going to go next. I mean, I saw 3 names mentioned yesterday by Eddie Hearn, his promoter on DAZN, and one that stood out was Tommy Coyle, because that's really going to be his next opponent. The other one on the list was Jorge Linares, and I forget the other one now. But in reality, when Hearn mentions his third opponent as Tommy Coyle, we know what's going to happen. And I just don't see what that does for Maurice Hooker. After 2 excellent wins, being brutally honest, he's not defended the belt in his hometown yet. He's defended it twice on the road against 2 difficult opponents. Like I said, he was the underdog in both fights, and he's gone and won. So I hope he's not in with Tommy Coyle next, purely for that Coyle is nowhere near that level. They're on about taking Hooker back to his hometown, which is going to be interesting. But at the same time, I only want to see unifications now. And when you're looking at it on the hindsight, it would have been good to see Hooker actually enter the World Boxing Super Series, because clearly he would have been some sort of threat, particularly in the quarterfinals, and know that advance into the semi-finals as well.
Andy, I've got a question for you, short and simple. How good is Maurice Hooker? I thought he was shit, but he's starting to prove me wrong.
Yep, that's 2 good wins on the road now, actually. Dropped early in the second round and come back, kept his distance pretty well, ended up cutting up Saucedo. And I really felt he couldn't have missed with the right hand for most of the night, actually. And in the end, it was a great stoppage. How good is he? I really don't know. I mean, I really think he's at this moment. He's obviously his confidence is going to be sky high, isn't it? I mean, he's been on the road twice, as I say, and he's done the business. I just think, obviously, depends how Hearn's going to match him up. The third name, as Ozzy was talking, is actually Chris Algieri. So, between Chris Algieri, Tommy Coyle, and Jorge Linares, you think the last 2 would be actually, would be doing the list. But Linares, I've seen a sparring session with him the other day. There, actually, he's looking quite sharp in that as well. I really don't know what would be his ceiling, actually. I think he might be at his peak at the minute, which, in all intents and purposes, is he's almost 30, so you've got to think he's at his peak. I don't think he can get any better. I just think he's at that level at the minute, whereas he's probably maxed out, and he's just looking for the biggest fights with the decent paydays. Obviously, as you say, the other titles are maybe tied up. I don't know how possible it is. We could maybe get the Hooker Jose Ramirez fight as a potential unification if we get that one made. But then if you go down the list, as I don't know, Frank Warren might want to make the Jack Catterall fight. I mean, we've kind of like said in the past, Catterall, maybe he's a wee step up. Maybe he's stagnated at the level he's fighting at the minute. So maybe that'd be the type of fight that Jack needs to kind of get his juices flowing and maybe kind of up his game a wee bit. You've got Jose Cepeda still kicking around as well. Remember what happened to him freakishly against Terry Flanagan as he dislocated his shoulder, actually, and it was turning into a wee bit of a decent fight, actually, as well. So obviously, as well as with the names tied up in the Super Series and that, as well as his options at 140, especially WBO section of the rankings, and that they're not looking very solid. I mean, there's names in here that I just do not know: Liam Parrow, Faith Kellis, Logan Yoon, Arnold Barboza. I mean, who the fuck are these people?
Classic WBO fare, isn't it?
Yeah, you got Darrell Foley. I've heard that name before. Obviously Josh Taylor, but he's tied up. The Canadian kid, Yves Yolis and stuff like that, and Jorge Yell, what his fucking name is, some Georgian character by looks.
Ulysse, Andy, didn't he school your man Cletus, who was fighting last night on Eddie's card? Cletus Seldin, didn't Ulysse school him on one of the, was it Lemieux Saunders on the card possibly?
That's right.
That'll be earlier this year then, eh?
That was this last year, December, wasn't it?
I always maintained that I always get that guy mixed up. Who was the guy? Who was the French Canadian black guy that fought on the Froch Booty undercard? If it's not that guy, it's somebody else I'm thinking about.
Can't mind Andy, to be honest. You're not thinking of Andrew Sinkuno, are you? Do you remember him?
No, give me a second to pull up Froch's record here to get a note of this. Stay my nutting because I've got these two guys mixed up. Right. Oh, it's him. Right. Okay. Pierre Oliver Cote. Remember him?
Not really, no.
No, that tells you then. Tells the same story.
Oh, Cletus Selden, Andy, sorry, not that anybody cares, I'm sure, was actually fighting on the Hooker undercard. He knocked out Nelson Lara in a round, but he got schooled, Selden, by Ulysse, I believe. So Ulysse isn't a bad fighter, actually.
Aye, so, but again, as I say, his options are going to be limited. You know, the main question is, how good can he be? I think he's as good as he's going to get.
Right, Dave, I think what Bob Arum wanted to happen, obviously, was Saucedo to win and then fight against Ramirez. That was Bob's plan. I think Eddie's thrown a spanner in the works here. We give Eddie a lot of shit when he's dropping L's, but he's got a W on this one, hasn't he? Hooker's gone over, got a nice payday off Bob and come home with the title. Pat on the back for Eduardo, I think, Dave.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Eddie cares. It's sort of like, remember when he would send... Jamie McDonald into the Lion's Den, and actually, wasn't that a Bob fighter that he fought twice? That Asian kid,
Kameda.
Yeah, and he beat him twice. Wasn't that a Bob fighter? I don't know.
No,
I think it was PBC, wasn't it?
Yeah, PBC. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, regardless, I mean, I think it's like that, where Eddie was kind of throwing him out there and saying, I mean, I don't really care about this kid. I'm not sure how I can really promote him, but let's just send him in, see how he does. So he just kind of threw him in there, and turned out he won. And I liked that fight. It was entertaining. If you haven't seen Hooker before, or if you have seen him before in some of the shit fights he's been in, give this one a watch, because it's a little bit of a new take on him. I think it's hard to tell. Like, either he's improving significantly, obviously, since he got that undeserved draw against Darley's Perez, or it's a stylistic thing. I mean, Saucedo's there to be hit. He was in a slugfest not long ago with, what was it, Zappa
Oh, Lenny Z.
Yeah, it wasn't like Fight of the Year or something. Like,
yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, it was close.
Yeah, it was big.
But it showed Saucedo's limitations, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's too easy to hit, for one thing. I mean, he won that fight, and he won most of the rounds in it, but he got hit, and Zappa was in the fight. And what I like about Saucedo, I like that power jab that he was showing early. I think it set up some of his power punches. But the whole time, even early on, even when he was still ahead in the fight with a knockdown, he was getting hit flush right in the first round. He was just walking right into range, and Maurice Hooker was almost like a helicopter rotor, just chopping his head up. And like, you can't just walk in like that. I don't know what Saucedo. I mean, there's no real point criticizing him for it. It's his style, and it's got him this far. But it's not going to serve him at this level, apparently, as he's found out. And a lot of these Mexican guys, you don't really see him turning over a different leaf, do you? But good for Hooker, and this is a big win for him, I think. I think I picked against him last week. I think most of us did. But I did actually forget who Saucedo was. I just heard he was undefeated and picked against Hooker. But Saucedo is kind of stylistically made for a guy with a little bit more craft than him. So I think it was a good style matchup for Hooker, even though it was a risky looking record and a tough kid, obviously, who could punch. But yeah, I would recommend watching the fight. Good action, good beatdown, ultimately.
A fight recommendation from Dave. Go and watch that, everybody. Episode 300 here. Big episode, calls for big names and big opinions. None bigger than you, Gabe. Gabriel Lewis is on with us, one of the original participants as well. Gabe, we're talking Hooker Saucedo. Any value in that for you?
Well, I think the outcome of it was valuable. because Hooker, looked a bit better than I thought he was. I just I didn't rate him very high. He's been on the road, which I love to see guys do. You guys, I think we're just talking about it a minute ago. Who was it that came over and beat the youngest Kameda brother here in Texas twice? McDonald, Jamie. That was a few years back. To see a guy going on the road and coming out winning like Maurice Hooker is doing is, to me, exciting. Because you got a guy there that if he's going to other people's backyards, it shows that he's got some balls, and some of the better fights that could be made have a higher chance of getting made. Out of this 140 pounds World Boxing Super Series, yeah. Any of those fighters that come out of that fight or out of that tournament would be suitable names for him next. I suppose it'll be a little while, so we'll see him in with somebody else in between now and then. But I think that he's the guy that we're going to be waiting to see who he gets at the end. So will it be Prograis or whomever? I think Prograis is the odds-on favorite right now to win that 140 tournament. So I wouldn't mind seeing him in there with Prograis and seeing how we could do it. I just think it's interesting though, because like I said before, I really didn't rate him that highly. I've seen enough of his fights. I just, I didn't think it was all there, but he's kind of putting stuff together as he's going along, which is great to see. A lot of guys, when they get to their title fights, they're already kind of where they're at, is where they're going to be. They don't tend to progress a whole lot in those early title fights. And so you got a guy like Maurice Hooker who's showing some development in each fight that he goes through. I mean, he's relatively untested, I guess, in the ways of having a long career, a lot of fights with a lot of highly notable names. But I'm excited to see where it goes from here. So I thought it was good. This is one of the ones that I watched the other day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. And I think I've railed the guy before, saying that I didn't like him too much, but it shows good. I think it shows good things what he's doing right now.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Gabe. Right, we've got our first guest of the evening on the call. Delighted to welcome bantamweight Louie Norman. How are you, Louie?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad at all. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday evening. We won't keep you for too long, Louie. We'll get stuck straight in there. I'm looking at your record here up on BoxRec. 24th of November, Billy Stewart, 6-0 up in Aberdeen. Tell me how the preparation and training's gone for that one.
It's gone very well. Obviously, that fight's not happening anymore.
Right.
Due to the fact they couldn't make the weight we asked for. Obviously, now I'm fighting Joseph Mafosa in his place.
Right, who's this new opponent then? I wasn't aware of this. Sorry, Louie, tell us more about this opponent change.
Basically, obviously, I was meant to be fighting Billy Stewart in Scotland, but they wanted to change the weight kind of thing. But we weren't making that weight. They need me more than I need them kind of thing. So obviously, that fight fell through. And then my manager, Carl Greaves, got in touch with me and says, right, you're fighting Jason Mafosa now in Middlesbrough. So I was like, yeah, son, I'll go and fight him then.
No problems at all from your end. You're going to go in and do a job as best as you can.
I'm a fighting man, and I've never turned down a fight in my life. At the end of the day, I go to each place and every fighter, and I'm going to beat him, you know what I mean? Obviously, I've been unfortunate in the defeats I've had, but the defeats I've had, you look at my record, and they're all top quality names. So, yeah, I've prepped. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you're 24 years of age, and that's one thing that does strike me about your record. 13, 6-1, but you're going in, no messing about, no undefeated records here to protect. You're going in to fight against anybody they put you in with.
They could put me against Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? Mike Tyson would probably knock me out within a round, but I'll give a good go. Yeah, I turned pro at like 18. I think I was English champion by 21. I never turned down a fight. At the end of the day, you just tell me what weight I've got to be, when I've got to be there, and I'll be there. I believe I'm one of the best in the country. I've just not yet shown what I can do.
Obviously, back down at flyweight, you won the vacant English title in 2013 against Nathan Reeve. Tell us about that fight.
Well, that fight, I knew Nathan beforehand, and now I'm actually really good mates with Nathan Reeves. He's a really nice lad. We got offered the fight. Obviously, it was meant to be eliminated. I was meant to be fighting Terry Broadbent, but Terry Broadbent had to pull out due to doctors saying he can't fight.
Mm-hmm.
Then obviously everything happens for a reason, and I think it was about 2 weeks later, I went straight through for the English, and so did Nathan. And obviously me and Nathan, I sparred him before. I can remember him being a really strong fighter. I think at the time he had 8, 1, 7 and 6 knockouts, and I only had 6 fights at the time, 6 wins. And that was the start, really. I think I didn't box his head off. It was a cracking fight, and I think all the fans, if they could watch it again, they would. I think I won convincingly on the night, and I did, and I was obviously crowned English champion then.
2014, Don Broadhurst, excellent amateur, obviously, has done a bit around the British title scene. You got a split draw with Don. What do you remember about that one?
With that one, it was kind of on the night. I thought a draw was obviously probably the right decision, but obviously watching it back, I thought I beat Don. I'm not just saying I'm an honest man. If I've lost, I will say I did lose, but I've against Don on the night. If it went their way, I wouldn't have complained on the night, but after watching it back, having feedback and everything, I think when you got a lot of people saying, "Oh, you won that," it was different. But no, you live and you learn, don't you? So it was still a draw. It wasn't a loss on my record.
2015, saw this one myself on Sky. Big opportunity on television, I suppose, for you against Charlie Edwards, English flyweight title. We actually spoke to Charlie's brother, Sonny Edwards, on last week's show. Talented lads, the pair of them, obviously. What did he do so well, Charlie?
He's so good at keeping out of the way. It's like Tig. It's like he'll hit you and he's out of the way. I've sparred Charlie recently. I've actually gone up to their gym. I've shared many rounds with Sonny and Charlie, and they're brilliant lads. I know we've had a lot of banter on Facebook, but they are brilliant lads, and I wish Charlie all the best in his world title fight. On the night, obviously got in there. It was a big difference from what I was usually fighting in little small hall shows. I walked in there, seen the O2 Arena, fighting Charlie Edwards live on Sky Sports. I think the atmosphere and the experience got to me a little bit, but at the same time, Charlie just boxed quality on that. I thought I deserved a few rounds, but it's boxing. I mean, I definitely lost the fight. A fair play to Charlie. It did box me head off at times, but you live and you learn, like I say.
You mentioned Charlie's opportunity against Rosales. That's coming up. Obviously, we saw Rosales defending successfully against Paddy Barnes in Belfast. He's going to be a tough proposition for Charlie, isn't he?
I think he could be a tough lad, but I think Charlie beats him comfortably. I think I've sparred Charlie recently, and he's sharp. It was good sparring, to be honest. I think Sonny, it's a bit harder. Sonny's got a different kind of style, but with Charlie's brilliant at keeping that range, and he won't mix it up if you don't have to. And I think for any time to win a world title, this is the chance. And one of the biggest titles of WBC as well. So I think, I don't know how he makes flyweight still because he's big for the weight. But no, I can see him eating Rosales, if not stopping him late on.
Just to remind our listeners, we've got Louie Norman on the call. On Twitter, at L_2sweet_N. Any more social media presences you want to plug or anything, Louie?
I've got Facebook, Louie Norman, obviously Instagram, Louie Norman. I don't really put much on there, probably just about my love life and my boxing, really.
I see a pinned tweet at the top of your Twitter. I'm going to read it out because this probably sums up your ethos around boxing. It says, if being a journeyman is because I go and fight anyone and wouldn't turn anyone down, well, I'm one of the biggest journeymen out there. Yeah, I've been beat and been stopped, but one thing is for sure, I'll keep coming back and I'll get the wins. 24 years old and ready to take anyone on. Does that just sum up your philosophy?
Yeah, I think with boxing nowadays, it's people are too bothered about the records. I suppose I was up to a certain degree up to like I was undefeated and I lost. And ever since then, obviously, it's gone downhill a little bit. But in some ways, I look at it and go, no, it's not gone downhill. You look at the people I fought Andrew Selby, I fought Carl Youssef, Tom Somber. These are all top quality lads where, yeah, I am losing. And obviously, it's heartbreaking each time you lose. But each time you take something away from it. And believe me, I'm better than ever. obviously I've just got to show that in fights. And like I said, if you offer me any fight, as long as the money's right and the weight's right, I'm there. I'm not doing it for the money. Obviously money helps, but I'm there for the titles. And you're only going to get anywhere in life if you take them big stages.
Yeah, well, this is what I was going to say. I mean, you fought Andrew Selby in 2016, vacant British title, and you went the 12-round distance with a guy who's knocking on the door of world titles.
When we got the phone call, I went in there obviously believing I was going to win. Anyone I fight, I'm going to go in there with the mentality I'm going to win. I'm not deluded. I'm not thinking in the back of my head, I'm going to lose. I honestly prep as hard as I can and do what I can do. And I believe if I fought the way I do, like I spar and everything, I believe I beat a lot of people, and I think a lot of people would be surprised. When I fought Selby, I went in there, I went to the Lions backyard, and the first round I fought a Nick, to be honest. He didn't really hit me. He was falling short quite a bit. And then, obviously, the second round, he come flying out. The third round, he come flying out. And I can remember thinking after the third round, but he ain't stopping here. So, obviously, he kept on coming in. But I think he got to 6th round. Dad said to me, listen, Louis, you're not going to win it. Let's just enjoy it. And I think from then, for a boxing fan, I think it was a perfect fight. Because, like I said, I just gritted my teeth and just got on with it. And I was smiling. As he was hitting me, he was smiling. It weren't hurting me. This is what boxing's about. It's about fighting. And, I don't love fighting. Don't get me wrong, I don't like being it. But I like the prep and everything to do with it.
After the Selby fight, obviously we mentioned earlier that you drew with Don Broadhurst. You had the rematch. I mean, look at the scores. You know, you're talking 1 or 2 points either way. Split decision loss. You and Don, obviously pretty well matched.
I won that one. I'm not just saying it. The first one was closer. But that one, I definitely won. I think out of the whole fight, I think I lost the 4th and the 5th. I can remember going up to Matthew Macklin, Matt Bowser in the ring, and I was commentating actually on that fight, and I can remember saying to him, what do you reckon? That's the first time I've ever actually gone up to one outside the spectator to see what they said. Matthew Macklin said, we've got you up by about 5 rounds. So obviously when the scorecard said split decision, I thought, I ain't got this. Everyone knew that I won that night. That was a frustrating time because after that's when I decided, you know what, I'm not boxing again, because it was a hard one to take. That was when you box someone's head off the whole fight. But like I say, fair play to Donnie, got us to the decision on the night. But still, that's one fight I can honestly say, no, I got robbed that night.
Obviously, you fought Charlie, in London. You fought Don in his backyard in Birmingham. You fought Selby in Cardiff. You then went on to fight Kyle Youssef in his backyard. You're just going on the road fighting these guys. How good is this Kyle Youssef? I've heard a little bit about him. 14-0 now.
I sparred Kyle. Kyle actually helped me for the Mark Leach fight. Obviously, Mark Leach fight didn't go to plan, but that was just down to me being mentally prepared. Kyle Youssef that night was just better. That's what it was. I think he's a very strong lad. I was very weight drained. That's when I realised I couldn't make super fly anymore. That night, I perforated my eardrum in the last round. That was the first time I got dropped as a professional. He's very accurate in what he does. Obviously, he used to train with the Ingles and they're very accurate what he does. Obviously, he's with Grant Smith now, who's a cracking trainer. And I think that will push him up levels, especially at flyweight as well.
Just finally, and thank you for your time for joining us, Louis. I'm just looking up BoxRec here around bantamweight domestic level. I was in Belfast last night, saw Luke Wilton got a win. He's obviously ranked in and around your sort of number. Nathan Reeve, who you've already beaten. Sean McGoldrick's going okay. Ian Butcher. You know, these type of guys, are you looking to mix with these lads, maybe English level? What are you looking at here?
I'll fight any of them. You know what I mean? I'm not anyone in Britain. I believe I can beat. I've not shown that, but I can beat him. Carl Williams. I don't think that's a problem. I think he knows what happens in sparring. Sparring, but obviously dropping him, rolling around on the floor like a little bit, it's a bit different. Obviously Luke Wilton. I've sparred Luke Wilton. I went over there to help him actually prep for the Charlie Edwards fight. Boxed his head off. Sparred with Ian, but I sparred most of the lads actually in that. Like Sean McGoldrick sparred him. They're all quality lads. And I respect all the fighters, but I'm in this for titles. And if any of them got titles, and if any of them want to fight me, I'm there. You know what I mean? They've got my manager's number. All they've got to do is ring, and I'm ready.
At L_2sweet_N on Twitter, everybody. Also on Facebook as well, Louie Norman. Just finally, quick word for Carl Greaves. Obviously, is Carl training and managing you? What's the situation there?
He did start off by training and managing me, but unfortunately, I don't drive or anything. I struggle to get there. I'll get there as much as I can. But Carl, as a manager, I believe he's one of the best managers around. He puts, I think, one of the most shows on each year. Manager as a trainer as well, he's absolutely brilliant. If I could get up there more, I would. My dad's training me, which works perfect as well. But no, Carl's a brilliant bloke. I've got so much respect for him. This is one manager what I will be when my contract does run out. I will be doing it again. It's the first manager who actually looked after me as a boxer, as a fighter, and actually as a friend. You know what I mean? He came to my wedding. He's a brilliant bloke, and I love him to bits. So yeah.
Yeah, Carl's good lad. He throws plenty of fighters our way as well. Thank you for speaking to us this evening, and best of luck going forward, Louis. Really candid stuff. Appreciate you taking the time to join us.
No worries. Thank you for it.
All the best. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Louie Norman there. Thanks to Carl Greaves, Aussie as well, for hooking us up. These guys. It's always good to speak to guys on that type of level. No messing about at all with Louis. You know, he's going, like I said there, looking up and down his box track. He's going and fighting in people's backyards. He's got losses, but same with Sonny Edwards last week, who obviously hasn't got any losses, but he's not afraid to take a loss. We go on about this a lot on this podcast, but these guys are just get in and fight, no bullshit, no messing about, and you do get opportunities down at those weights. Right, wrapping Rob Kelly. I'm sure you enjoyed listening to our guests there. We're going to look forward to listening to you. We've spoken about Frankie Gavin. We've spoken about Maurice Hooker. You can speak about both of those fights if you wish, Rob, or you can go into Jarrell Big Baby Miller. The floor is yours.
Sorry, Steve, I was talking to my neighbour there, so I missed the question.
He's probably more important than me, Rob. What I was saying was, we've spoke about Frankie Gavin, we've spoke about Hooker. Right. You can talk about either of those fights, or you can go straight on to Big Baby, whatever suits you.
No, I watched the Maurice Hooker fight. Big fan of Mighty Mo, as you know. He doesn't do a whole lot of things wrong, although he doesn't do a whole lot of things brilliantly either. But what he has got is when he chooses to use him, a nice straight 1-2. You can't, like, it's kind of understated, the old, like, I know it's the cliche, the old 1-2, the old straightforward 1-2. But like, if a boxer masters straight jab, straight right hand, or even if they're southpaw, straight right jab and a straight left backhand, you can do so much with it. Like, and I thought earlier in the fight, he was looping his punches a little bit, looking for a lot of wild swings and uppercuts. And he looks a bit gangly anyway, Hooker. And I thought Saucedo was getting on top of him and dropped him with a heavy shot. But Jesus, what a finish. Like, when he got him on a hook, he didn't let him off with beautiful straight left right to set it all up. And in fairness, that's the only punch he threw in the Flanagan fight, and it worked really well for him. That's the only combination he threw in the Flanagan fight, was just a straight 1-2. And he was mixing a little bit with Saucedo. Maybe that Saucedo style brought that out of him a little bit, made him a little bit ragged, and he started to wing shots. But when he straightened him up, he definitely got the finish and got him out of there. So it's interesting. It's wide open now at 140 with the Super Series going on. Hooker's probably missed the best in the division, so he's going to hold on to his title for a little bit longer, get a little bit more experience. And as Gabe said, he's going on the road. So I'm a fan of Mighty Mo for the moment. I don't think he's any great shakes. I think Hader Dave was kind of right as well in what he said last week, that he's probably there for the taking as a world champion. But with all the other fighters tied up in the Super 6, he might reign a little longer and get a bit more experience. And he's definitely been in 2 good fights in a row now anyway. So I'll be looking forward to seeing him again. Frankie Gavin, man, I didn't even watch that fight. When I heard Frankie Gavin was 5 pounds over the weight the night before, I didn't watch it. Like, Frankie Gavin to me was finished when the Kell Brook fight was happening. When's that? Like, that's like 3 years ago now, isn't it?
Yep.
So, like, he was finished. It was evident that night he had nothing left. And I know he's gone up, whatever, he's fighting over the weight that he should be at. But that's his own fault. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost like this Dave Allen thing again. I'm sure he's turned into him. Frankie Gavin had all the talent in the world. All the talent in the world. He could have easily been a long reigning world champion with the ability he has. But it means nothing. You can have all the ability in the world. It means nothing in boxing if you don't apply it. Nothing. And I knew a couple of people close to Frankie way back, 2012, and they were saying, look, the writing's on the wall for this guy. I'm not going to say who they are or whatever, but they were saying the writing is on the wall for him. He's not going to do it as a pro. Forget about him. And they were right. You know what I mean? It's just sad. It's very sad because, you know, boxing is such a tough sport. If you have that extra little bit of ability, that extra bit of creativity, ring IQ, movement, agility, all these attributes that he had as an amateur, you know, that's to your advantage in the pro game. But you have to have the mental strength, and you have to be able to keep yourself disciplined. And he's been lacking that his whole career, and it's just a sad end to a sad career, really.
Yeah, RIP Frankie. Hopefully he'll find something to do in retirement. Looking over the rest of the action over the weekend, Firat Arslan still going, nearly 50 years of age, got a win over Sefer Seferi, I think it was. Maybe did that take place?
Sorry, Steve. The big baby win, he did.
Big baby won, of course he did. He knocked out Bogdan.
Well, I told you last week there was no fucking way on earth I was going to watch Big Baby Miller fighting a Romanian heavyweight. So I'm glad I got the result there anyway. Yeah,
we got the result there, Rob.
What round, Steve?
I think it was round 4. I'm right in saying I was watching it.
Fourth round. I never saw it either. Fourth round though.
Like a prime Sonny Liston, Big Baby Miller.
Like a prime Sonny Liston. Jesus. There was action of interest. We're going to bring Ozzy in on it now. Just before we do, Wadi Camacho, a 7th round technical decision win over Arfan Iqbal. Iqbal down in the 5th round, according to BoxRec. Didn't see this one. Unable to continue after falling through the ropes. In the 7th was the big lad. Also, good success story here for Michael Ramabeletsa that we were talking about last week. 17 wins, 17 losses now. Knocked out 8-0 Ryan Walker in the first round of their vacant English title shot. So as Ozzy says, records are for DJs, certainly in Ramabeletsa's case. Okay, Ozzy, you have your pick here. First of all, Liam Taylor getting revenge win over Tyrone Nurse via a split decision. Also, after you've spoke about that, you can segue neatly off into Big Baby himself. Start off with Steve Wood's show, Ozzy.
Yes, an excellent top of the bill, really, for a small hold show. British title eliminator at welterweight, Liam Taylor, Tyrone Nurse. Both have got history before they've boxed. Tyrone Nurse ran out the winner. I think it was Liam Taylor. I think he got about 2 days' notice for the fight. Lost on points pretty convincingly. And it's always been on, a checklist, if you were to call it, of Taylor to look to seek revenge on Tyrone Nurse. And Saturday night, he did exactly that in probably one of the small hole fights of the year. An excellent fight. Managed to watch it back today, actually, whilst I was sat in an airport in Muscat. And what a good fight it was. And it was a perfectly matched fight. 2 lads going all out there in a British title eliminator. And I think it was a fair result. In my opinion, I had Liam Taylor by 2 points. I spoke to a couple of people who were at the show as well, and all of them had the Liam Taylor winning the fight. Tyrone Nurse, another one who's got bags of experience, and being brutally honest, he's always involved in a close fight. It's rare you see Tyrone Nurse get well and truly outclassed. He's obviously jumped up a weight since he lost to Jack Catterall down at 140, got robbed on the road in Australia, and then he's lost a split decision against Liam Taylor.
Is it because of his style, Ozzy? It always keeps things close.
Yeah, it's a difficult one with Tyrone Nurse because look at him. I mean, he's got all the attributes to cause absolute havoc for plenty of fighters. What is it? 6'2", 6'3", tall, gangly. He can box at range. He's clearly got the skills, but he loves to engage in a war, and he doesn't have the punch power, to have that style from where I'll stand and trade with you. He's got an excellent chin. Don't think I've ever seen. He's been dropped, but I've never seen him, completely out on his feet dropped. It's more a case of getting caught, just off balance or square or something like that. And you're completely right, Steve, about his style. Like, he will always have close fights, but at the same time, he's also got the style that won't win him the fights as well. Now, in my opinion, back in Australia, it was completely robbed. It was an absolute disgrace of a decision, and we all know that's boxing, but at the same time, it's still a piss take. But on Saturday night, I feel he wasn't a deserved winner, and Liam Taylor, who's done it the hard way, never really been given a big opportunity. Steve Wood, applaud him like I do Carl Greaves, Steve Goodwin. Without these guys, it's pretty much a small hole scene wouldn't exist. Got an excellent opportunity for his fighter, and his fighter stepped up to the mark and took it with open arms. Johnny Garton's now he's the British welterweight champion. We saw him against Gary Corcoran in an excellent fight, and he won it there. So there's no reason why Liam Taylor won't be fancying his chances. Yeah, probably will have to go into the away corner, but Johnny Garton's promoted by Frank Warren, so there'll be some decent money on offer if he can be made mandatory for it. And I know a lot of people close to that Taylor camp, and they really do fancy this Garton fight as well. And that's what we want to see from boxing as well. I think it's easy to talk about the bright lights and big nights, isn't it? You know, like at Wembley and the O2 and the MEN. But I think a lot of fans do forget about the small hall scene, you know, like Manchester, you know, Victoria Warehouse and Bolton Whites and York Hall, etc., things like that. And people do forget about that. And I think it's fair to say that careers are made on the small hall scene and not just on Sky, you know, where you see people knocking out journeymen, you know, because they sell a few tickets. From that, just a quick note on Wadi Camacho as well. Another one who I say his records are for DJs. Lingered around at Southern area level for a long time now. Stepped up numerous times and fallen short. Nothing wrong with that. He's kept going. He's believed in himself. Steve Goodwin, an excellent manager behind him, has continued to get the opportunities for him. He's managed to get an in-house Commonwealth title fight against Arfan Iqbal. And again, Iqbal, I think he stopped Wadi Camacho, I think a couple of years ago, now relatively early on. Camacho completely outboxed him, by all accounts, from what I've read up. Sadly, can't see this fight because I know Steve Goodwin doesn't stream the fights due to basically he doesn't see a point because it doesn't offer anything to his show. And what a good win. What a good win. And what an excellent place he's in now, Wadi Camacho. I mean, like I say, he's won numerous Southern area titles and he's now a Commonwealth Cruiserweight champion. An excellent, excellent achievement. And there's no reason why he probably won't get a British title shot now, or he can potentially go on, you know, get other opportunities as well. Now moving on to the show in Kansas with Chippy Tits, Big Baby Miller. I spoke to somebody on Twitter about it, and somebody said, "Oh, does Bogdan Dinu have a chance?" And my response was that the fact that he was boxing Tom Little 3 weeks ago says no, because in my opinion, if you're boxing somebody of that caliber of Tom Little, no offense to the guy, someone like Jarrell Miller will be wiping you out, and he did exactly that. I thought the stoppage, I thought Dinu looked to take a bit of a dive, really. Don't think it was a flush shot, and he's one of them, a built-up record. He's from Romania, not really boxed anybody of note. Like I said, was boxing Tom Little 3 weeks ago. Does that highlight where he's at? Jarrell Miller, do we learn anything? I mean, what is he weighing in at? 330 pounds? A huge, it's massive, but to be fair to him, I don't look at him and think, you know, fuck me, you're a fat bastard. I mean, he weighs 330 pounds, yeah, but I do think he carries the weight well. But Kurt Ward sent a message before, and I think Jarrell Miller weighed 240 pounds for a fight. Well, look at it, he's put on 90 pounds since that fight. And that is a serious amount of weight. We're not talking muscle here. I mean, yeah, he's probably thinking, but it's an outstanding amount of weight. I mean, he's got a decent output, to be fair to him. Like I said, for a 300 pound, what's that, about 22 stone or something like that? I mean, we've not really seen him in, I mean, Marius Wack, he battered him, but what is Marius Wack, really? Miller now, I think he's going to get an opportunity for the WBA regular title, whether that's against Frez. Frez, we're all thinking about, he deserved that opportunity.
Go on, Frez.
What happens now, I'm not too sure, but what I do think is that 2019 will definitely see Anthony Joshua against Jarrell Miller, and that will be Joshua's US debut.
Right, Andy, tell us about the big lad himself. We had a questioning. Actually, I'm just going to bring it up here. It was on the Facebook page from Paul Massingham. He said, that Bogdan Dinu, I thought, exposed Jarrell Miller's limitations last night. Someone with skill, speed and footwork would beat him convincingly. Not going to slag Miller off. His work rate for £315 is phenomenal, but I think he can be found wanting at a higher level. What do you think of Paul's assessment there, Andy?
I seen the stoppage. I know what he's saying. You can see Miller's got decent hand speed for it, as everybody knows, a guy that size. I'm like Rob. I just can't take this guy seriously at all. I mean, his fucking weight is incredible. I think Kurt even flagged something up the other day there, actually, or remember earlier in the day, that he somehow managed to put on something like, what was it?
100-pound weight.
It was, but he, within a matter of like a month, he put on something like 40 pounds. How's that even fucking possible and still maintain, you know, are able to throw heavy punches? I really just don't know. I mean, I would need to say that Bogdan Dinu was was awful. I mean, he's never fought anybody. I mean, you go through his record. I went through it last night. I mean, do you think like fighting the likes of Marcelo Nascimento or Ed Perry is going to be like, proper grounding for like someone like Jarrell Miller, who he has got his supporters, he has got a bit of ability about him, but I just can't take him seriously because he's a fat, out of shape monster. If someone with a bit of length, good movement, good stamina is going to school him. I will say this though: obviously we've never seen him tested or hurt. I've never seen him dropped or hurt or anything like that. But it's going to take a guy with a serious amount of power to actually drop that guy. I mean, 300 pounds or whatever it is, and that is just absolutely incredible. But,
it's mad. It's mad because it has to be diet. Like, if you're looking at a fella putting on 7 stone weight in his career, it has to be diet. Already has fast hands and everything. Like, but what the fuck is he eating? Like, it's going to tell in the ring at some stage when he moves up the opposition. I think your man's right, like, in his assessment. You couldn't put on, like, if you look at what Tyson Fury was doing when he put on 10 stone, you can see in the Showtime 24/7 version or whatever the fuck it's called, access for the Wilder fight. They showed the footage of him, and when he was at Wilder Spilke, and he's buckled, like, absolutely buckled on drink. Like, what kind of lifestyle does Miller have to put on 7 stone while still training for a fight? It's got to be awful. Like,
I mean, even the Zone were actually tweeting out and stuff. There's like they've got like pictures side by side, and they've got a picture of Big Baby Miller lying on his back on his phone, and in the next picture they've actually got like, a screenshot of Google looking for the best burger joints in Kansas City. I mean that's your own fucking network kind of taking the piss there a wee bit as well. As I say, £300. I'll give you a challenge. Anybody who actually wants to kind of listen to this or even take it up and that, go to the shop and buy, say, 6, 8, 10 bags of sugar. Stick these same bags into a fucking rucksack and go for a run. Tell me how you feel after it. I mean, and this guy's like throwing about £300.
It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous.
Second he steps up, he is going to get clowned.
And I heard he called out. Sorry, I need to hijack you there. I'm just saying, like, it's ridiculous. Like, if you look at a guy like with the talent level of Riddick Bowe, and his diet ultimately like cost him his career. Like, you know what I mean? His lifestyle cost him his career because he couldn't stay away. Buster Douglas ordering 10 pizzas before he defends his fucking title against Evander Holyfield.
End up in diabetic coma.
You will be found out. Like, he's going to be found out. It's impossible. Like, Butterbean, all these guys, they're all right. Like, throwing at a low level. When they fight anybody at a decent level, they're going to get smashed. Like, it's a fucking joke. And I heard afterwards he called out Dave Allen. We're going to see Dave Allen. Dave Allen versus Big Baby Miller. The fucking white rhino versus the shite rhino.
Battle of the Pillies.
Yeah.
Fucking white rhino and the shite rhino. Bullshit.
I'll just sign off by saying this, Steve. You've got 36. You've got a 36-minute fight, lumbering £300 about, and you want to be at an elite level and fight for a world title. Sorry, man, it's just not going to cut it. I mean, you saw value of fucking freak of nature, 7 feet, similar weight. He was mince. Big Baby Miller looks okay if he's got an opponent who's willing to stand in front of him. He can let his hands go and stuff. But at the end of the day, you imagine getting into the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th rounds and that. He is going to be blown out his father. Big style. Has to be.
And it's even more annoying that we had to go through this Wilder Joshua saga when it's been planned for months. In their back of their minds, he's going to fight the winner of White Chisora and then Big Baby Miller. Everybody knew what we've been saying when those negotiations were going on, and it's just they just keep lining it up. Like, that is going to be. Imagine what Anthony Joshua is going to do to Big Baby Miller. For fuck's sake, like, bad for both of them.
It's heavy bag work just getting put on pay-per-view.
But it's a perfect opportunity for him to break into the US market, isn't it? There's a reason Eddie Hearn's putting in the resources into Jarrell Miller, and that's to feed him to Anthony Joshua, because it's a perfect opponent known to the US market to feed Anthony Joshua to, unless the Deontay Wilder fight happens in April, which I think we all agree definitely will not happen. So who better else than Jarrell Chippy Tits Miller to feed him to the American market?
It's a joke, and that's been the plan all along. All along. It was never going to be not Miller. It was going to be Miller next until he said something. He opened his mouth at the press conference and he ended up saying something. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I referred to it before. So now the main opponent for this fight that he has to have in April is White Chisora winner and then Big Baby, for his US debut. Joke. Absolute joke.
Mm-hmm. Absolute joke, says Rob. This is no joke now. We've got Lewis Calvert on the line, returning guest, the editor over at Big Right Hook. How are you, Lewis?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. Thank you for joining us again. We're just talking about Jarrell Big Baby Miller there. Did you get to see anything of Big Baby over the weekend?
I tend not to watch him. I think he is a little bit all mouth until he comes and fights himself a Brit. That's when I'll take him seriously. I think he's a little bit of a joke at the minute. He's all bar and no bite. So as far as I'm concerned, he's too fat and too slow, and until he proves it on British soil, he should just keep his mouth shut and his fists do the talking.
Fair enough assessment. We've also talked a little bit of Hooker, Saucedo. Frankie Gavin was in action over the weekend. Did you get to see anything else?
Yeah, well, I watched the clip of Maurice Hooker. I put on our Twitter today that we need to collaborate with him somehow and have him as our patron saint, repping big right hook on Hooker's shorts or something like that. I've had a keen eye on him since the Teddy Flanagan fight. I thought he was definitely, I don't know, they overlooked him slightly with Flanagan going up in weight. So he seems to carry a little bit of power. He's fast, got an engine. So I think he could do big things for Eddie Hearn. And then, yeah, I'm not, Frankie Gavin, obviously, I'm sure you've covered the weight issues and things, so the less said about that, the better, I think.
Pretty much. Last week, obviously, we saw Tony Bellew going in against Usyk. What did you think of Big Tone's performance?
Well, similar to everyone else, really. First 3 rounds boxed really well. I'd give him the first 2 definitely. You could call the third a draw or fourth a draw, and it was just kind of like Usyk put it on him, just constantly turning the gears, and he was knackered coming the end of it. I think maybe it was such a big fight and he built him up. Maybe he should have just went in there and tried to sling it out for 1 or 2 rounds while he still had the energy, because you knew that the later it went, the more Usyk was just going to pile on the pressure. So he's done really well for what many people believe to be an average fighter. He carries his power, as he says, very regularly, but he just the class shown in the end. And you're going up a guy who's unified the division, who wants to take on Anthony Joshua. He should be disposing of the likes of Tony Bellew. Bellew has carved the career out of the what if moment and the don't write me off. So I think he's done well to earn what he has done. And if he said he wanted the fight beaten out of him before it, when he was lying on those ropes, I think he certainly had it beaten out of him.
Yeah, Lewis is with us, everybody, from Big Right Hook. What's going on at the magazine at the moment, Lewis?
Well, we've just launched our second printed edition. I know I came on first time, and I was trying to, not doing an Eddie Hearn big sell, but I was just trying to get it out there to real, genuine boxing fans. No one knew at the time if we would even make it to the second print. But we've cut. We saved a bit of money, and with a lot of thanks to the Nuthouse Podcast. Actually, I gave your guys a discount code, and we got a few orders in. And the feedback since the launch magazine has been absolutely brilliant, overwhelming. Actually, the amount of support that we've had. So I'd just like to thank anyone who did buy it, who does listen, and who has supported us, because we've made it to the second print, and people didn't even think we would make it to the first one. So yeah, the second one's out. There's less mistakes in it. It's a shorter print run, but no, it was really, really enjoyable piece, and we've got a little bit of momentum since that launch magazine, and very proud of it. Very proud of it. Looks artistic. Still promoting charities and new writers. And when I gave the call last time for any new writers, I was inundated. I had 12, 13 people get in touch and say, could they write for us? And obviously, we give everyone a chance. It's an open door policy, really. So any aspiring writers who are listening to this, they can get in touch. But yeah, a lot of people got in touch, and I gave them their, task or title and said get back to me. Some of them didn't do it, which was a bit unfortunate, but I'm grateful for the time that people donate to us anyway. So yeah, we got a bunch of new writers in there, and a bunch of new topics and debates. Most notably for podcast listeners, we've got the Paul Smith Jr. debate. So where he was saying, why would you listen to a boxing podcast? And then, so he is one side of the argument, and then I've got another guy who runs a podcast. Sadly, not this one. Although I did ask you, Steve, if you wanted to write, but you are a very busy man. Yeah, extremely busy. So we've got the other side of the coin, really. So if you're into boxing podcasts and you're into writing, get the magazine and see both sides of the story.
Yeah, they say if you launch something that's perfect, you've launched too late, so don't worry too much about the mistakes. You have got a code, haven't you, for the guys who want to buy the second edition, am I right?
Yeah, if you want 10% off, go to Big Right Hook, BigWriteHook.co.uk/shop. It'll be the second mag, and if you put Nuthouse in the coupon code bit, you'll get 10% off, and that's for all Nuthouse listeners. It is a short run. So there's not all that many magazines left, but if you haven't got the launch mag, there's about 30 odd left, so you can get the full collection. We've made it the second print, and yet you get 10% off if you use the code Nuthouse.
Final points, Wilder Fury, December 1st, who you got?
I'm going to go for Fury points. I just think he's too big. He's far too big. I don't think he'll get caught with these windmills and things like that. I'm a massive believer in Tyson Fury's will to win. I think Wilder, he's not come up against a guy who will get up off a shot, apart from Stavern, but then that was a bit too slow. Yeah, I think Fury will outclass him, outbox him, and he'll just do what he does. He's constantly in the headlines, and I can see Fury taking that belt, and then we've got a year or 2 or 3 of the AJ Fury fight that might never happen. Could be the worst thing that happens to British boxing if he gets that belt, because you could see them never fight. So yeah, I'm backing Fury all the way, and I think he's doing great things, especially for mental health and stuff like that. So he's spreading awareness, and that's one of the things we try and do as well. So I'm firmly in the Fury camp, and hopefully he can do the business.
And finally, Mayweather Pacquiao 2, excited or farcical?
Very, very farcical. We put a piece on the website about it. The whole Mayweather end of career has been a bit farcical, I'd say. The Conor McGregor thing, the Japanese kid, Pacquiao needs to hang up the gloves and solidify his legacy. Like you've earned enough money now. Let the new guys come in. I think we're in real danger over the next few years of losing like all the kind of stalwarts of certainly of the people that I grew up watching. But particularly in Britain, so you got your Calms, Brooks, Hay, Bellew, all these guys are going, and I think there'll be like a bit of a 2 or 3 year period where we wait for the Anthony Yards and Joshua Buatsi to come through. So Burnett's obviously out with his back. It's a changing of the guard moment in boxing, and I think these old guys, they need to just cash in and let the new ones come through, give someone else a chance, because that'll be the future of the sport. That's the lifeblood. So just try and promote them. If Pacquiao was to fight Khan and go out on a win, or just fight someone lower down the rankings, hand over the torch, do it gracefully, get knocked out in clean fashion, and ride off into the sunset. You've made enough money, so hopefully it doesn't happen. But at the same time, I still would have tuned in to watch Mayweather fight that lad in Japan. I mean, it's so intriguing, but that's the circus that surrounds Floyd Mayweather. Although it's a farce we just cannot keep our eyes off.
At Big Right Hook, everybody, thank you for joining us as always, Lewis, and continued success with the magazine. Hope it gets to a 3rd print run, obviously.
Yeah, hopefully, and it's a pleasure to be. It's your 300th podcast, is it?
It is, certainly.
Yeah, so it's congratulations to you guys. I seen on your last video you broke 4,000 listeners. So I'd just like to say a massive thank you to you, because you really did help me out with the launch, and I'm very grateful for that. And 300 episodes, man, it's such an achievement. So you keep doing what you're doing, and obviously we will always support you, and hopefully you get a few followers from us. But I think what you're doing are brilliant. It gives my Monday morning in work, makes it go a little bit faster. So thank you for anyone that listens, and here's to the next 300 for you, and let's hope I can get to the 3rd print and we all help each other out.
Great stuff. You're always welcome. Just hit me up whenever, Lewis, okay?
Nice one, Steve.
All
so yeah, 10% off for anyone who listens with the code Nuthouse. So thank you very much for having me, Steve. All the best, mate.
Cheerio. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lewis Calvert there. Rate the quality of this call, it says on my WhatsApp. We'll give him 5 stars, shall we? Hopefully he gets to a 3rd print run. Will we get to episode 301, let alone episode 600? I don't know, rapping Rob Kelly, to be honest with you. But I tell you what, right, is Hater Dave still with us? He is. Right, Dave, let's get you in, shall we? HBO are out of boxing, but they're back in boxing next week anyway. Dimitri Bivol against Jean Pascal, Sergei Kuzmin against Laron Mitchell. You know, when I look at these fights, Dave, I like Bivol, but I think to myself, why is he fighting Pascal? Kuzmin against Laron Mitchell. Is it just best that HBO hang up the gloves?
I thought that their final fight was that Jacobs card. I guess they're back for another pathetic whimper. Maybe he wants to tell us about the rape victim status of Bivol and Pascal. We've already seen Pascal raped multiple times by Hopkins and by Kovalev, so I don't know if Bivol.
That was worthy of episode 300. That one.
I'm not going to watch this. I don't think, unless something majestic happens. I mean, if Bivol stops Pascal, I guess it says something. Still though, Pascal is washed up good. He's bad goods. He's done. And I don't think Bivol can do anything that we haven't already seen before. So this seems like a waste of time to me. And it's not even really a showcase. I mean, HBO's a dying platform, like openly dying platform. They're done. So
are they out of boxing, Dave, or do you think they're just going to keep clinging on like this?
Well, from what I thought they were out already. I haven't even watched. I didn't watch the last show, so I didn't hear what they said about it or not. They could be out. They could come back.
I think it's contractual, isn't it? They had some fights and TV schedule already bought up, like, but they're not doing any more after that run is over. Like.
So they're just finishing off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess maybe they just don't care. So I mean, maybe, why would they care at this point?
What does HBO stand for, Dave?
I know that one. Heyman Box Office. Oh wait, that was back in 2010.
No interest then, Dave, to summarise?
No, really. I have interest. Not at all. I have interest in Bivol as a fighter, but this fight is shit, so forget it.
Yeah, I don't think Gabe's too happy either. We're going to come to him on him cancelling his HBO subscription. Before we do, let's get another clip in, shall we, Gabe? Just hold on a second. We've got Donnie here. We haven't got Donnie on the call, unfortunately, which is a bit upsetting, to be honest with you. But here's Donnie talking about Al Bernstein. Let's get Donnie in.
Wait, let me get this straight, though, right? So, I mean, so Bernstein says he's hacked or whatever, but now there was nothing before that he tweeted, nothing before that he liked, nothing after that. It was just this one thing. Now, you know what?
I don't know, Donnie. I've just got a screenshot for 7-year anal. I don't know the context.
Oh, well, that's another question too. I mean, 7-year anal. I mean, you know, I've done anal.
Yo.
I would say more like 7 seconds.
Yes, Sonia.
Years.
Donnie's done anal before. Anal sex. He just let us all know, and the thousands or millions of listeners.
So you're getting a video in a week yourself for that.
He's just told. I don't know why. He just told us fucking live on air.
Why are you telling your wife?
Because I found it funny. She's like, what? Donnie, my wife's asking you, why are you telling us that?
Anyways, what else I was going to say was that the really funny thing is I was thinking, and I said this on the chat the other night, Tommy really found it entertaining. I thought it was funny as well. I was saying, you know, if I did ever do some sort of pornographic, self video or something, I think I would like to have Al Bernstein do the narration.
There we go. I think we'll cut that one out. Donnie with a bit of 7-year anal, man. You can't beat it.
I listened to that last night. That was fucking hilarious.
I was rolling listening to that montage of the 300. That one in particular, Donnie really thought that one through.
I love how everyone just automatically assumed he meant he was the bottom.
Talking about the bottom, by the way, talking about hitting rock bottom, I see Kasim Uma goes to beat him points last night in Estonia.
Why is he still fighting, Andy, man?
Oh man, that guy, PTSD up the gazoo. That guy, like, honest to God, I mean, imagine getting kidnapped for your family as a young boy and get put into being a child soldier and that. I mean, and then you defect because you're away with your country, and then they kill your father out of back. I mean, fuck, man.
Yeah, he's had a rough life, old Uma, but I'd like to see him hang up the gloves, to be honest. Talking of hanging up the gloves, Gabe, you have hung up the gloves, metaphorically speaking, when it comes to HBO. They're cunts, says Gabe. Fuck them and their shit shows. Pretty strong stuff, Gabe. You're still going to watch the Pascal Bivol fight, though, aren't you?
I'll watch it because I like Pascal. I want to see him one more time. I don't think he's got a whole lot left in the tank. I didn't think whenever he retired earlier that he was really going to retire. He seems like a guy that can still win some fights despite getting the hammer put down on him by Kovalev. And prior to that, I mean, he was still looking like he was in pretty good form. We see a lot of guys go downhill rapidly, but the style that he fights in, I don't see why he can't keep going. Fighting a high output guy and somebody that really pushes the pace is not ever in his interest, never really has been. But I like Pascal, so I'm going to keep watching. And regardless of if he got his ass whipped by by Kovalev or not, I think he was one of the only people that was actively calling for that fight. And he went in there with him not once, but twice. And the motherfucker had some success. So Pascal fan here, as far as HBO, they got what they had coming. I've said it 1.5 million times. They got what they deserve because they don't know what the hell they're doing. They tried to bring in these foreign fighters and into a United States market and make them into superstars with shitty TV deals, with shitty packages. Look, you can bring a Mexican guy up. You can bring a Canelo. You can bring a Chavez. You can bring some other guys into this market, but you ain't bringing no Ukrainians. You ain't bringing no goddamn Russians. You ain't bringing nobody into this market and making a start out of them. It just doesn't happen. I mean, Pacquiao was a rare feat, a force of nature that happened. We could go on a list here and probably count on 2 hands the number of times they brought in foreign fighters that really made an impact in this market. And that's not me being against anybody from anywhere. That's just a fact of the matter. In this market, in the United States, people want to watch American fighters. And again, most of you guys are, getting to see fights from all across the world. For those of us that are hardcore fans here in the States, we watch stuff from all over the world. But the average fan in America wants to see American fighters.
Gabe, is this the Clan Man coming out in you now?
What's that?
Is this the Clan Man coming out in you now?
No, absolutely not. I'm telling you what you're seeing, what you've seen from HBO over the past few years is the exact reason why they died out.
Gabe,
they tried to bring in these foreign guys and make stars out of them, and they don't capture American interests the same way that American fighters do, despite how good or how amazing they really are.
Gabe, I'm going to start a chant and I want you to join into it, okay? You ready?
Go ahead.
Build that wall. Build that wall. Build that wall.
There you go.
The YouTube liberal elite is going to get us banned again, Andy. Now this is 2 strikes.
We're gone.
No. See, that's exactly the way that it is. You think about the guys that draw the most money. They're in the United States are going to be American. I mean, it's a simple fact that I think you see here.
I'm not going to completely agree. Well, what about Canelo?
Do what?
What about Canelo?
That's all the Mexicans, I mean.
That's one, Dave. And I said that you can bring some Mexicans over because those are about the only other kind of guys that make up a big dent because there's a large Hispanic population in the United States. So carry on. Name some other ones. I mean, you could sit there and literally talk about them. I believe that's why that HBO went down the drain. Again, not because I feel that way, but I think the general consensus is that if you're going to bring in fighters from outside of the United States, it just doesn't work. They don't rally the support, which is the viewership of the average fan. They see these guys coming from other places, and they don't necessarily want to see that.
Is it because they were cheaper? What's the reason for them do? Is it because they looked at Pacquiao and said, he's a trailblazer, we can do this with Golovkin, we can do this with Kovalev, or is it because they were coming from a cheaper standing position? What's the reasoning?
Well, I think so. I think they really made some terrible mistakes quite a few years back. They were paying Andre Berto tons of cash to face nobodies.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, one that I recently watched again was the I forget who it was. It was a rather easy knockout that he had. I think it was on the card with Jason Litzau when he beat Celestino Caballero. They were bringing in guys like paying Berto tons of cash for bum fights, and they were losing money, and they couldn't afford to keep going. So then they tried an alternative method, but they went too far to the other side, and they said, no, we're not going to pay tons of cash to these guys anymore. We're going to get in, like you said, I think they can pay these guys less money to start out with and build them up. And so then they've got all these contractual rights with them. They've got a 10, 15 fight deal with them on their station, and they get approval over who gets picked and who doesn't get picked. So they can sit there and say, no, we're not going to put you in with this guy yet. We don't want you, because the TV the TV channels started having too much control over all this shit. I mean, that's where it really went south, was whenever HBO declined to put on a fight with certain somebody, whoever it was. I mean, I think there was a Cotto fight with Ricardo Mayorga. I think it went to Showtime because HBO declined it. They didn't want it. They wanted to put him in with somebody else. And
I think HBO actually did put on that shit. I think I remember Lampley.
No, you're definitely wrong. I had the flu. I remember the whole evening because I wanted to step and watch it because I'm a Ricardo Mayorga fan. I wanted to step and watch it even though he was past his best. It was a Showtime show. I promise you, Dave. But
so these fans, Gabe, the guys who are sitting watching your Kelly Pavliks, they're not interested in transitioning to getting behind a Golovkin.
I really don't feel like they are for the most part. Now, again, you have some people, the hardcore fans that recognize the talent, and they'll be the viewers. But you're talking about, what's essentially having 100,000 views versus 1 million views, not on pay-per-view, just on average television. And they're not going to tune into somebody they just don't know, that they don't have a connection with. That's why Pavlik, I think, was as successful as he was, because he got the people of Youngstown with him. I mean, look at Roy Jones. Everybody was enamored with Roy Jones. Do you think they would have had the same kind of success with a guy like Roy Jones if he came from a different country? I really don't feel like that's the case. And again, I'm not saying that because that's how I think about it. I could give a fuck less where somebody's from, as long as it shows. That's the point of the matter. Some of my favorite fighters of the current time right now aren't even American fighters. But
those
I think
recent Superfly cards, though, Dave, nobody's interested in that, are they?
I think they are.
No, the guys you're talking about, though, the American fans you're talking about, that last Superfly card, I think it did like the lowest numbers HBO boxing history or something.
Well, I think so, because again, they had some relatively small guys on there. They had small guys on there, which never gets a lot of viewership. That's one problem. And then they have these other guys that really are not recognizable. If it had been a Pacquiao or somebody who had been making headlines and spectacular fights and knockouts, that's one thing. But you can't bring in a guy that not a lot of people have heard of to start with. And then at a smaller weight, it just doesn't work. They were lucky with Roman Gonzalez because they were able to do something with a guy who had some name recognition and who they could show you had a great record, all those things. But they brought him in too late, and that's why he got knocked the fuck out.
Right, Dave. Come on, Dave. What do you want to say?
I think HBO was onto something when they were mixing the Superflies with other middleweight title fights, diversifying the card. I mean, for hardcores like us, those Superfly fights, they were all well matched. They were all excellent. They were not all, but almost all of them had action. Some of them had good knockouts. It was good stuff for us. That draws us in. That makes a solid card. The casual just cares about the main event. So put those super flies on the undercards, and I think they would have boosted business that way. It's no surprise that a super fly card on its own did terrible numbers. But if we have to remember, one of the best fights, probably the best fight that could be made in boxing at the time, Andre Ward versus Kovalev, did shit numbers, and the rematch I think did as well. I don't know if it was bad promotion. Like, I don't know enough about how HBO did business to criticize
It was
this.
Andre Ward that was the killer on that one. I'm telling you.
Ward's the killer. Kovalev, nobody interested, and there was no promotion on top, I'd suggest.
Well, there should have been people interested because it was a fucking great fight. Both actually were.
Yeah, well, we recognize that. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The people that are on this podcast, that listen to this podcast, recognize those things. They may not always appreciate certain styles, but they can appreciate that Andre Ward was a top fighter. Sergey Kovalev, a top fighter, both undefeated, both going into a showdown with each other. I mean,
Something just tells me, though, if Eddie Hearn had promoted that fight, I think it would have done better. If Showtime had done that, it would have been better. HBO just totally blew it. I don't even know exactly what went wrong.
I don't know, man. I think Ward is a very, very tough sell. I think the closest anybody's got to opening up and showing his personality was Bryn, friend of the pod, Bryn. Before that, he's never given you anything. He's always just giving you the positive spin, the American Golden Boy. Like we never found out about his brutal past until very late in the Kovalev. He just made himself. Even though I would say he did everything professionally right. Even though when people were criticizing him, like he took off time in the ring, but he wanted to earn more money. Like if you're Thierry Henry and you're on 25 grand a week, and Ashley Cole comes to the club, he's on 100 grand. You want 100 grand too, and I think he wanted to earn the big bucks. But when he came back, look at how he did it. Paul Smith first, Alexander Brand, Sullivan Barrera, then Kovalev. And that's what makes me worry about Fury in the sidebar. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry to digress.
No, not at all, Rob. That's absolutely fine. Right, let's hit the tracks, boys, and get towards the final finish, shall we? You're listening to episode 300 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. That was Rob Kelly you were listening to, Gabe as well, having good discussion, Andy, and Hater Dave Loback. This is officially the UK's #1 independent boxing podcast, no doubt about that. Joseph Ajayo was in touch, a friend of the pod. A rebuttal to Deontay Wilder's claim that 3 heavyweights are better than Anthony Joshua. Have you ever sparred or fought with Joshua, says Joseph. Did your boxers box with AJ before? You even mentioned Fury and Ortiz. You are completely wrong. None of you can beat AJ. Be reasonable when you speak, says the doctor. The doctor has spoken. Rob, John O'Donovan was in touch as well. You might remember, Rob, you and John O'Donovan did a special for Patreon on...
I do.
The Hagler-Leonard fight. Well, John's been back in touch, Rob. He said, question for the pod, something I thought about after the Bellew-Usyk fight. Has the current Sky commentary team of Smith and Froch and company managed to somehow become worse than the horrific Watt and Halling days, Rob?
I'd take Halling and Watt back in a second. I would take Bang on the Chin back over. He's experienced and he knows what he's doing. Because that's what Froch says about every single opponent that comes to fight, a matchroom fighter. He doesn't watch him. He doesn't know who they are. He's never seen it. He probably had a look at their box rec before he went into the dressing room. And he comes up with, he's experienced. He knows what he's doing. What? The cruiserweight 4-belt holder who was the Olympic champion is experienced and he knows what he's doing. No shit, Carl. Yeah, give me Jim Watt any day, man. And you know what? I grew up on Reg Guthridge and Jim Watt and Harry. Even though they were super biased and all, they were way more on the money in terms of calling the fight than Carl.
Reg was class, wasn't he? Like I thought.
Yes, he was. Yeah, brilliant.
I'm sure Andy will tell us all we need Ian Dark back. But just on Froch, I think that he's doing it a little bit tongue-in-cheek, basically seeing what he can get away with. He clearly goes in there with absolutely nothing, like no preparation at all. You could tell in the Bellew-Usyk fight, hey, this Usyk's actually not bad. Like, he didn't even know who he was. He doesn't follow boxing. He only cares about himself and his own career, I think, or people who were relevant to fighting him at the time. But good. I mean, since he's not lead commentator and he had a good career, I'm going to give him a pass. I think it's the lead commentators that really suck ass.
Go on, Rob, you got anything to add?
No, I was just saying in terms of Pascal being shot to bits fighting Bivol, I think like the first performance by B-Hop against Pascal is one of the greatest performances of all time. Even though they hosed him with the draw, he clearly won the fight. Like, to get dropped twice at that age, and I just wonder what the lads think. Do you think that That version of B-Hop schools calf rots.
I would say so.
What version of Hopkins was that?
The one that beat Pascal in there. They got the draw in
without
the first
doubt.
fight. I think he schools calf rots. Yeah,
without
definitely.
doubt.
Me too. It's a pity that fight never happened because I would have loved that one. Like,
I think it's a competitive fight. A good fight, though.
Right, moving on. On Monday night, there is a show which is a bit unorthodox. It's Boy Jones Jr. against Craig Evans. I'm assuming we'll be getting that on Box Nation. Danny Wright, who's been on the pod as well. The Wolf is also featuring on that show. Willie Hutchinson. I think that's maybe, in the Hilton. It's one of Frank's, used to be the Deborah charity. I think they donate it somewhere else now. It's one of Frank's charity shows anyway, where you see Frank sitting next to someone dressed up as like Pudsey Bear or something. So that should be pretty entertaining. Andy, I would have thought.
I hope HMRC didn't turn up and speak to Frank.
Pudsey grabs hold of him in a headlock, takes his hood off, and he's like working for the HMRC.
Aye, there's some in Sun. There you go. Pay your bill.
Pray for Frank. Also, friend of the pod, Nina Bradley's boxing. She's 6-0 on a Carl Greaves show next Saturday evening, so best of luck to her. What else have we got? Yeah, I was looking through iTunes, actually, which I don't usually do. We've got a few new reviews of varying quality, I suppose. The best boxing podcast going says KCDCLCMC. That's a bit of a difficult one. Bring back Tommy and Seb, says Mr. KC. Fantastic boxing pod, says David Lincoln. Thank you very much to him. And we've got one in from Nick100685, who gives us 1 star. He says, "Fuck me, you guys are miserable. The saying, if you haven't got anything good to say, don't say it at all, was made for this podcast." Well, go fuck yourself, Nick. Would you concur with that, Andy?
Absolutely, mate. Go fuck yourself. Go play with the traffic. Step in front of a train. Just don't bother darkening the doors again. You're a miserable cunt for even leaving the fucking review like that. Fuck off.
and what are you doing watching boxing anyway? What are you doing watching all the press conferences going, well, I wouldn't have said that if he hadn't got anything nice to say. He shouldn't have said anything at all. That was awful. What a prick. Shut up.
It's fucking boxing, man. They cunt knows how it operates.
And we also had a 5-star review here, which was entitled Tommy Allen, and it was from Disco_Seaman. And he said, "Tommy Allen raped me a year past January in Las Vegas. He dragged me into the toilets. He dragged me into the toilets at the MGM Grand and sodomized me." So that was quite an interesting, an interesting review, I suppose. You know, if you've got to get the message out there, Tommy isn't here to defend himself, so I can't comment any further on that one. Andy, let's go back to the boxing, shall we? Very, very quickly. Monte Carlo next Saturday evening. I
they'll have to.
This one. Khalid Jafai defending his title against Rail Gonzalez.
And I think somebody somewhere must be toiling.
There's your Cindy Lobach appearance.
Go on, Cindy! Go on! Go on, Cindy Love. Put it on, Dave.
Is it Cindy Lobach or Cindy Lauper, man? That was good.
Get your
Yes, sir.
Get your rat
singing
out.
karaoke and annoying my dad. I'm over there for dinner, and it's not a pretty sight.
Get your rat out, tell her.
All right, sorry to interrupt, guys. Go back to what you were.
No problem. Cindy's always welcome to this podcast. Andy, anyway, yeah, Yafai, Dennis Lebedev's on against Mike Wilson, Frank Buglioni on a Saturday night. We know that our friend Rob won't be watching that. Michael Hunter's back in action against Alexander Ustinov, a variety of characters. I'm going to say, off the record, a Matchroom employee I was talking to out in Boston said that this card isn't the best. So maybe they know that there's not too much value to be had here. Andy, will you be watching?
I know Michael Hunter got drafted in late last night. I forget who the fuck was he meant to be fighting Ustinov. Wasn't it Demetrenko?
Wasn't it the big Chinese guy?
That's who it was, the big Chinese fella. That's who it was. So Michael Hunter's come in and got another opportunity. You would think off that performance in Ustinov is fucking garbage, man. So you would think he should have enough about him being a smaller guy to outbox him. Ustinov, no impressed with how much ever as a pro. I mean, I'm not disputing the fact that he was a top amateur. I mean, he's got wins over pretty much every other top name kicking about the sport at the minute. Like guys like Josh Taylor, for example. And that guy who appeared on the Wembley Bill, I think it was Gayazov, I think it was his name is. So he is a decent enough fighter. He hasn't kind of proven it to me in the pros yet. Buglioni against the Chinese guy, that actually might be a decent enough wee fight for enough rounds. I think Buglioni will probably win it wide on points. I have got absolutely no fucking idea who this guy Lebedev is fighting, and as for Lebedev himself, I mean, I'm not going to look too much into that Alton Kaya one. Mark Flanagan was just runs and repeat. It's just he won it wide out the park in that. So other than that, I know he kind of ran Gazaev close and stuff. So there was talk about Lebedev back in the day. You know, talking back in the day, I talk about a couple of years back about having brain problems or brain concerns, or maybe a scan that
Yeah,
brought
that's
up
right.
a abnormality in that. So if that's the case, then that is concerning. As for Cal Yafai, obviously this fight, this guy he's fighting, he has mixed with like Yerwin and Cajas, so stop him 10. He was down a few times in the fight. I think it was pretty early down in that fight as well, actually. But I would think Yafai, bigger dude than that. I think he's going to do the business here. Obviously, the Roman Gonzalez fight is now on. It's basically kind of sitting holding. I think Gonzalez is fighting. Who is he fighting now? He's got a fight arranged, or he's in talks with someone actually, ex-world champion.
Can't remember.
Some ex-world champion anyway. So if that fight obviously is going to get made if both are successful, I want to say it's like Jimenez or something like that Gonzalez is fighting, but I don't think it is. So I mean the card, I'll put it this way anyway. I'll not be kind of going out my road to change my plans on Saturday if anything crops up and that. But no, I mean, as I say, it's probably maybe the only decent fight maybe worth looking forward to, maybe Buglioni and the Chinese guy. Other than that, nah, I'm not digging that at all, that card whatsoever. So to the person who left the review on iTunes and stuff like that, if I'm being negative with that review, then go fuck yourself.
Well said, Andy. Give us 30 seconds on Pascal Bivol if you want to.
Pascal shot, Bivol again. See the thing with Bivol and that, I know he's had a couple of decent wins and stuff, but really, it's Don Pascal. I mean, this is the guy. Oh no, he's absolutely shit pushed in against Kovalev twice. Laboured like fuck against Elder Alvarez. Lost to Yunzeki Gonzalez. He's on the horrible side of 30 now and stuff. Took a trimming, took a whole of a lot of beatings. Always been problems with the gas tank and stuff. So you think Bivol's going to win this wide on points. Again, Trent Broadhurst, no great win. Sullivan Barrera was a decent win.
Good win, I thought. The way he beat him and then finished him at the end was excellent.
Isaac Chilemba, seen better days. He's always going to go a distance there and stuff like that. And Cedric Agnew's no fucking great. I think Kovalev stopped him as well. So, and this isn't great either. So we need to see, hopefully at some point, getting some of these unification fights made. I had actually hoped that the World Boxing Super Series would have picked up the light heavyweight division, because you guys like Beterbiev and stuff just sitting there dormant, doing absolutely nothing. Stevenson sat on his arse all that time. We want to see Gvozdyk getting in the mix as well. I think he's like interim champion or something like Elder Alvarez, obviously, with that shocking win against Kovalev. Badu Jack still kicking about the Ripper and that. Marcus Brown still there. Yeah, and the other thing as well is
they're fighting, aren't they, Andy? Sorry to interrupt.
I think they are. I think just as I said that, I'm sure I've heard that name, or maybe that fight getting made. And the other one obviously is Anthony Yard. Obviously, we need to mention his name. He's in the top 2 in that, but again, like him, he needs to be tested. He needs an opponent, something worthy at least. That, but again, if you go through those WBO rankings and stuff like that, Yard could fucking pick out that Damien Hooper if he wanted. Shawnee Monaghan would be a decent step up for him, by the way, at this point. But it's not going to happen, is it? We're not going to see it. So we need some unification fights to happen. But Bivol, again, as I say, it's probably doing his management and stuff, and maybe he's just trying to run out the HBO contract finally. So he's going to get a gimme fight. But after this, it's step up time, maybe.
Well said, Andy. Right, on to the Bellew of the Weeks. Couple of things before we do. Men's Luxury Fitness always throws in some good talking points and thoughts. I'm going to save his one about Fury for next week, because I think it's very prescient with the Fury fight coming up. Men's Luxury Fitness did say, though, off the back of Usyk against Bellew, I give Bellew credit in that I believe that he was drugs-free his whole career, in and out of competition. In a dirty sport, it's an important point to note. So well said, Men's Luxury Fitness. We will ask the Tyson Fury question next week. And finally, before we go on to Bellew of the Weeks, a final clip of the evening, we shall play the best non-pay-per-view fight of the year in 2015, I think it was Tommy versus Coogan. We could have picked so much of this, but I've managed to pick out a little bit. Let's listen to Tommy organising a fight on the air with Coogan Cassius.
I didn't find that.
Listen, mate, I made the comment on
and I just said to you that I didn't find it funny. That was it. And then you're talking about Coogan will have his funeral soon if you don't shut up. So, well, that joke as well.
That was a fucking joke as well, mate. Aye. But see, if you want to get serious about it, I'll offer you a fucking scrap so we can scrap. I like a scrap, mate. Oh my God. That's no problem. No problem. You're going to quick Frampton.
I am going to be at Quick Frampton.
Right, mate. What we'll do is, right, I'll fucking, we'll swap numbers and you'll sort something. We'll go for a walk, just me and you, and we'll see who fucking walks back then, right? All right?
No, listen, right, not a problem whatsoever.
What? Right.
No problem whatsoever.
Right, exactly. You can fuck off me then. Fuck off, one. We'll swap numbers.
I'll be a Quick Frampton.
Is there anything else you want to see, mate? Do you think that you were going to come on the show and I was going to fucking shit my pants or something for you, mate? Aye?
Not really, no.
Well, then you fucking go then. Well, you can fuck off me then. I've never met a fucking Sri Lankan that can fight, mate. You can fuck off, man. I don't fucking smash fucking you. Not a problem at all.
Hard man, Tommy, isn't you?
Well, that's it, mate. If you want to fucking take it there, listen, mate, we can all laugh and joke and Twitter, right? I offered you a wee fucking charity boxing match, you know what I mean? Because I mean,
why do I want to have a charity boxing match for you?
Well, I don't know, mate. We were talking on Twitter, and I just thought I'd put that out there, so. But if you want to get serious about it, I can get serious as well, that's not a problem. I think it's serious.
Hard man, Tommy.
I'm not a hard man, mate. I'm not a fighter.
Right, listen, can I jump in here?
Listen, mate. Fucking hell, I just think it's a bit weird that you got fucking upset about the comment.
I didn't get upset. Listen, I never got upset about it. I just didn't find it funny.
You fucking did get upset about it, mate. You did get upset.
Well, that was awkward.
That was brilliant. Oh, forget that.
Are you going to be at Quick Frampton? I wasn't even on the pod. I was listening to that live, I think, and I was like, holy shit.
Coogan didn't know what to do with Tommy, by the way. You see those long silences that in between? Coogan hadn't a clue how to respond.
He caught him cold.
He did, and he's like that. He says, what was the comment he made there? Oh, you're a hard man, Tommy, you're a hard man. He said it twice, because he had nothing else to throw him.
And he kept saying over and over again, I will be at Quick Frampton. I will be. Over.
Aye.
Because Tommy had tweeted out that Brian King was dead, and a few people took it seriously and were like trying to find out the truth because Brian had gone off Twitter or something, I think. Coogan got upset about it and thought that Brian was genuinely dead.
Coogan actually even messaged Paul Smith about it as well.
It wasn't Brian King that was dead. It was just one of his many Twitter accounts.
Brian's still
for any American listeners, or for that matter, any human beings who couldn't understand what the hell Tommy was saying, a few of those lines were, we'll take a walk and see who walks back. And I like
chilling.
Scrap.
That was actually chilling.
And I never met a Sri Lankan who can fight.
And Aussie's in Sri Lanka tonight, so maybe he's going to try and find a Sri Lankan who can fight. Let's go on to Bellew of the Week, shall we, guys? I might play another clip at the end. We'll see what we're doing for time. It's 10 to 10. Thank you for sticking with us, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us over 300 episodes, I suppose. Right, the Galveston Giants have thrown in a Bellew of the Week nomination. Murphy's Boxing are advertising Greg Vendetti fighting in France for the WBA Super Welterweight Gold World Championship. December the 8th, this is against Michel Soro. The WBA Super Welterweight Gold World Championship. I mean, what do you even say about these frigging organisations? You know, everything's been said, hasn't it? Zach Zanotti is talking about, who's he on about? People padding records, just like Tony Bellew did versus Usyk, just like AJ did fighting Dillian White, an undefeated fighter in his 14th fight. If there's one thing Eddie doesn't do, says Zach Zanotti, is pad records. Now, Wilder, there's a padded record. Quite a few people nominated this casual this week. Josh Fitzgerald has nominated Sky Sports Boxing and also Tom at 2 Footshaft. Sky Sports said David Price could be set to return to the ring against Tom Little next month. And Tom Footshaft jumped in and said Tom Little versus Asda Price. Battle of the Supermarket Heavyweights. So that was Tom Little versus Asda Price. Battle of the Supermarket Heavyweights. So there you go. Well done. Well done, Tom. What's this one we've got here? Bill Golding is nominating. Garcia Spence has been nominated. Richard Jarbish here says, great fight. Let's see how special Errol Spence really is. And then Mashter jumped in and said, I found out when he went into the Lion's Den in England to fight Kell Brook, whose skills are every bit as good as Mikey's, but in a bigger package. The only other fighter who would dare take that type of challenge would be Crawford. Bill Goulding has nominated this gentleman for that comment. Top Rank Boxing are plugging the fact that they're showing Jesse Ramirez versus... Gilberto Ramirez versus Jesse Hart. There we go, on December the 14th. This is the rematch.
They already fought.
Yeah, this is the rematch. Top Rank said in 2013, Ramirez and Hart pushed each other to the limit. On December the 14th, they'll meet again to determine who's the best super middleweight in the world. Yeah, I'm sure they will. Mike Boxing has rightly nominated that one. Dear me. Yeah, Dave, while we're talking about the Electronic Sports Participation Network, did you see the Bellew of the Week nomination, which I'm going to nominate now going round, of a fighter on the Hooker Saucedo undercard on Friday night? I think it was a Polish guy who was tweeting it out. Rincon.
That guy, like dancing like a ballerina with his hands like in a John L. Sullivan posture. I mean, he looked like he'd maybe seen like one or two movies about boxing, and then they let him fight.
That was bad, wasn't it?
At least he was in shape, I guess. What was the outcome of that fight? Because the clip I saw did not show what happened.
I don't know, but I doubt Rincon won. I doubt it very much. Right, Donny, who wasn't on tonight, unfortunately, has nominated Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He warns the 168-pound division. You are all on notice. I'm back. Unfortunately, Donny wasn't here. Rick Law and John Swan. John Swan nominated Mrs. Bellew. Mrs. Bellew went off on a bit of a racist rant last week. And also, Dave, Rick Law nominated...
Correction, Steve, it was a homophobic rant, actually.
Sorry, homophobic rant. And also, Tony Bellew got photographed with his WBC title in front of a big blue flag saying Kenny Dalglish is a homosexual. So it seems like there's a lot of hate going on in the Bellew household.
Aye. And meanwhile, Kenny Dalglish got a knighthood this week. So the L's on Tony.
I'm pretty sure that Tony's brother's gay. That's what I was hearing when his missus was screeching. I mean, I can't blame him for the state of his missus, though. I mean, she's just seems like she's had a bit too much to drink that night and let a bit of her inner feelings slip.
Well said, well saved, Dave. Because when you said Bellew's missus, I was thinking, oh my God, there could be so many things he's about to come off with now. That wasn't too bad, Dave. So congratulations. What have we got here? David Farmer has nominated Dave. People talking about Dave Allen. Patrick Kenny was saying it's a disgrace, Dave. We've all been sold the conclusion before the Webb fight. Come on, Eddie Hearn. You have the most popular heavyweight at the moment. Iron hot and a little fire emoji. He's talking about Dave Allen. Matthew Macklin says, just to clarify, I didn't say, he's talking about Triple G, Callum Smith. Anyway, Mark Webb jumped in. If Callum Smith reproduced the same as the Groves fight, he'd give any fighter in the world, even a heavyweight, a good fight. I think he needs big fights to stay motivated. Johnny Clash nominated Mark Webb for that comment. Hands of Stone has been nominated by the aforementioned Brian King. He was talking shit about Dave Whiter, was Hands of Stone. Big Right Hook, who was on tonight, Lewis Calvert, was nominated from Capitano. Big Right Hook said, Price versus Usyk is happening and Pricey is going to do him. Jamaica, Capitano nominated Lewis. I should have tackled Lewis on that one earlier. A lot of nominations for this one from Julian Goulburn. If Dave Allen was given a 16-week camp to get ready for Alexander Usyk, if he moved up to heavyweight, I think Dave would give him a good run for his money. As Dave is a solid unit. All he needs to do is apply a lot of pressure and get him out of there. It would be fun to watch. Samuel against the ropes boxing, Andy nominated that along with a lot of other people.
See, to be honest, man, I forget who Dave. Baby Miller was calling him out last night. I actually went through the thread after Alan responded to it, by the way. Holy shit. There are some amount of people who've been hoodwinked into thinking this guy, all he needs is a 12-week camp and he's going to be able to fucking fight for 12 rounds. Stamina is built up over time, no over a 12-week fucking camp. Fuck's sake. I think it's okay shifting weight. By the way, can I just remind people, you are still questioning the fact that Tyson Fury dumped so much weight as to where he's still going to be. So can we still fucking say the same question to Dave Allen? If he's going to shift all this weight and be in fighting shape, how's he going to be? Is he going to deplete himself? This is fucking nonsense. It's great how they can just drink for the fucking fountain of delusion, these bastards, man. It's unbelievable.
Well, Andy, you may move over because there's plenty of room at the fountain of delusion because Chad has found another one, Xenophon Law. He said, I don't disagree with any of your points to Brian. He said, I'm unsure, but I think that Dave Allen is seeking British and European belts. However, a heavyweight fight for Usyk versus Allen would make very good money as well.
See when he says British
Oh my
belt.
fucking God.
See when he says British and European titles, I'm assuming he means like the European Union external title and probably like some like he says British, I mean
the gold
British
version.
Southern Area version.
Maltese Boxing Commission.
Oh my fucking God.
What kind of a
the British Masters.
What kind of a fucking sadist wants to see Usyk in the ring with Dave Allen? Like, he want to see a date in the ring. He fucking kill him, like. Oh, Alexander Usyk versus Dave Allen. Fuck me, like. That is bad, that one.
Usyk would actually be, but I don't know what. Yeah, his nickname's Sasha, right? He would actually need to get renamed the fucking Butcher after fucking fighting Dave Allen, because he'll fucking just meat cleaver him.
Well, boys, you got one opinion, but there are other opinions out there, including Julian Goldborn, who came in with another retort. Sean Stevenson noted this one. Julian, replying to all the hate, said, hey, stop all these retweets and retarded replies. If Dave Allen went 7 rounds with Luis Ortiz on short notice, and Ortiz gave Deontay Wilder problems for 10 rounds and nearly defeated him, and Allen went 10 rounds with Dillian White, a heavyweight title contender, why should he not give Usyk a test? I'll tell you what, boys, he's making a good case here.
Yeah, he's making a good case. Other than the fact is that Dave Allen's a heavy fucking bag who refuses to get knocked down or get knocked out. At the end of the fucking day as well, as Ortiz actually took that fight in short notice as well, and he still knocked him out. So what the fuck?
I think he's making it.
What's his point? What's his point there? If was a spliff, we'd be all fucked up. So you know what I mean.
I think Kurt said. Robbie said, if what was it? If Kelly hadn't had the balls chopped off, she'd be Frank. So that's that one put to bed. Right, Jason J was on the troll against Shakur Stevenson this week. Excuse me. Jason said to Shakur, UK-based fighter, Scotch Egg, telling everyone that will listen over here that he dropped you in sparring, champ. Any truth in the rumours? Shakur jumped in. He took the bait about this Scotch Egg character. More than a lie, says Shakur. Honestly, I don't even know who that is, but I've never been down sparring or in a fight. And Jason came back. He's based in Scotland. White guy, yellow hair. We'll try and get a picture for you, champ. And Shakur says, please do, because he defo lied to you. So Scotch Egg could be the next opponent for Shakur Stevenson. There's a bit of beef going on there. The Boxing Inquirer, Bellew of the Week nomination for Eddie Hearn, explaining away poor ticket sales in his upcoming US show. That was the Kansas show on AFL. As 80% of sales are done in fight week in the US, says Eddie. The previous week, he was slamming World of Fury for not selling out yet. Contradiction from Eddie? Surely not. The Boxing Inquirer has found one anyway. Danny Young has nominated Edouard for calling for an Alex Saucedo versus Anthony Joshua fight. I don't even know what he's thinking there, but yeah, anyway. D-Dog has nominated Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller is calling out Dillian White, Derek Chisora, or even David Allen or David Price. If Eddie wants it and he comes up with a game plan that I like, let's make it happen, says Jarrell. Big Baby Miller. And I believe that is all the nominations I've got, gentlemen, if you have any to throw in.
Yes, I've got 2. I've got one for Robin Deacon. He tweeted out on the 20th of June, 2013. Can't wait for Frankie Gavin wins the Commonwealth title. This bloke is unreal. Skillful. Watch him dominate the world of boxing. Yep, that tweet aged pretty rapidly, by the way, so you can imagine about 5-6 years later if we saw it all end for him. And got this one for Eddie Hearn, actually, if I just bring it up on my phone. This is Eddie trying to explain why Mikey Garcia is great for fighting Spence. Wants to challenge himself, isn't bothered about padding his record with money fights like Tommy Coyle or whoever Eddie had lined up from. Would you hear this shit for Eddie Hearn, by the way? You might say to just turn my phone up. Here it goes.
Mikey a lot. He's a crazy guy. I mean, he's probably turned down more money, or he has turned down more money from me to fight a good fight, but one that he's a massive favourite to win, to fight Errol Spence for less money. And that's a terrible fight for him, but he's got it in his head that he wants to fight Errol Spence. So you have to respect that he's willing to try and be great or do these things. I don't think anyone wants a Spence fight. I don't even think the fans are that mad about Garcia Spence, you know? Like, they'd rather see Spence Crawford. I'd rather see Garcia Lomachenko. But still, he's got it in his head. I don't think Robert Garcia wants to fight. I don't think anyone in the team wants to fight. But it seems like he's made his decision. So good luck to him, and we'll see what happens after. See how many buys it does. Because as a fight, it's going to die on pay-per-view. Great fight. Small pay-per-view numbers.
And that's what it's all about.
That's completely disingenuous from Eddie, though, isn't it, really? Because he's saying, why is he taking this fight when he could be taking, and then he's obviously naming two of the biggest fights possibly in the sport, as if you could just make them with the snap of the fingers.
Yeah, and is Lomachenko Garcia going to do more pay-per-view numbers than Garcia against Spence?
Yeah, I mean, to follow on from that, my nomination was Freddie this week as well. There was a piece with him there with Clarissa Shields, and you could see he's trying to sign Clarissa Shields, so he starts giving her the whole salesman speech. He's hypnotizing her while he's talking to her. He says, "You know what I love about Clarissa? She wears her heart on her sleeve. She's real, you know." Like, shut up, you fool. And then he goes on to say from then, there's two super fights in women's boxing. One of them being Clarissa Shields versus who's the girl with Peter Fury? Savannah Marshall, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall and fucking Katie Taylor versus the other Serrano sister. They're super fights, are they? Women's boxing has super fights. Well, someone want to... I missed that memo. I missed that memo for sure. Nobody cares about women's boxing. It's never going to do pay-per-view numbers, ever. You liar. He said in UK... Shields versus Marshall will be pay-per-view headline. Oh no, will be a headline. Will be
Didn't
a headliner.
Didn't we have Savannah on our podcast?
Yeah, she beat Clarissa as an amateur.
We talked about how she beat her. Yeah.
No disrespect to her. I'm just saying, I don't care about women's boxing. No disrespect to her. Good luck to her. But it's not a headline fight anywhere on planet Earth, and it's definitely not a pay-per-view fight, and it's definitely not a fucking super fight. But speaking of super fights, I want to get on to my second nomination, which is for one of my idols, Roy Jones Jr. Michael B. Jordan from the Creed movie, who plays Adonis Creed. They said to him, "Who would you like to fight, past or present?" And he said, "Roy Jones. He was my hero back in the day, and I reckon I could take him now." So what does Roy do? Get up on Instagram. You know, we've seen Roy sour his legacy over the last few years. Well, he wants to sour it some more. He gets up on Instagram to say, "Yo, we can make the fight happen. It's easy to do if that's what the fans want. Me versus the lad from Creed 2 in a real fight." So Roy gets one for me for this week, because that's preposterous. But yeah, I could see it happening. He did beat up a civilian not so long ago, so who knows?
That's right, he did. Yeah. Thanks, Rob. Two very worthy contenders. Anybody else want to throw anything into the ring? David, Gabriel? Nope. Okay, then let's go on to our selections then. We'll go to you first, Dave. A few strong ones this week. The guy who's gone on about the supermarket heavyweights, Mrs. Bellew as well, is a quite strong one. But I'm going for Julian Goldborn, who threw in quite a few this week. And he was getting annoyed by all the retweets and the band of followers who were getting on his back as well. So Julian Goldborn for me, Dave. Who are you going for?
Madame Bellew for her rant. And also for looking absolutely dreadful in the face. I don't know what happened there, but it looks like some surgery gone bad.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, Dave.
Dave, putting aside the
it could have also been intense emotions.
It could have. She might have dropped some Charlie or took us
intense emotion.
A disco biscuit and that. It's kind of distorted the face a wee bit and that. You know, she started to rave.
No, the Bellews are clean. The Bellews are clean. We've already established this tonight.
I hope she hasn't gone home and tested negative for drugs, because Bellew will want her executed.
Dave, putting aside what she actually said, if Mrs. Bellew was having a rant, how would she sound? You know, what would she sound like?
Actually, I haven't watched the video, but I imagine she sounds like a Scouser, sort of like Rachel accordingly sounded, right? I'm not going to say any. I've already said enough terrible things on this podcast. I'm not going to say any of her lines.
Get out of my fucking way. Right, okay, let's move on. Dave, you've chosen Mrs. Bellew. Andy, who are you going for?
Mrs. Bellew, how she wasn't arrested for a hate crime like that, by the way, and then he used the excuse, the guy actually says to me that he actually glad that Tony got knocked the fuck out, so she's actually went on like today on the defensive and stuff. End of the fucking day, even if the guy did say that he was happy that Tony got knocked out, you didn't turn around and just cry someone a fucking faggot, for Christ's sake. You just don't do it. You can't do it nowadays. You just simply can't. I mean, if that was me walking down the street, you can guarantee I'd knock at the door. Fucking police. I've been getting dined into the fucking into my work to get me sacked and stuff like that. This is the society we live in nowadays. You can't.
Which is fucking tragic in itself.
It
She
is.
should be allowed to say whatever she wants. It's fucking free speech.
This is what's happening. But anyway, Mrs. Bellew definitely. She just. Oof. I tell you what, I wouldn't want to go home to her with a broken pay packet. Put it to you that way.
I know, yeah, friggin' hell, it'd be his worst knockout. He'd be going through the window, let alone going through the ropes. Gabe, who are you going for?
Ms. Bellew.
Looks like it's academic, Rob. I'm going for Julian Goldborn. I'm a lone voice. Who are you going for?
I was going for him too, man. Whoever said that, Dave Allen could possibly go 12 rounds with Alexander Usyk. Actually, him. Whoever said that, because I was.
That's him, yeah.
Him.
Right there, boys. Let's get out of here. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. As usual, episode 300. Hopefully, another 300 more. We're going strong. Thank you to everyone who's been on this evening. Rapping Rob Kelly, Andy, as usual. We've also had Gabe. We've had Hater Dave Loback. Ozzy was over in Sri Lanka. He came on and joined us as well. I was hoping to get Tommy on, or Kurt, or Matty, one of the original guys. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it tonight. Maybe we'll get them on in the future. Thank you to our guests as well. Louis Calvert over at Big Right Hook, and Louie Norman, who came on at the beginning of the show as well. I've been Steve Wellings. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. We played you in with the very first ever intro to the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast, and we'll play you out with the outro. It's only an hour long, actually, so things have changed since then. It was only an hour long, that first episode. We'll play you out with the couple of minutes or so that you would have heard back on October the 14th, 2012. Thank you for your continued support. Patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. Speak to you all again soon.
Well, that was our first edition of the Nuthouse, BoxingAsylum.com's podcast. Come join us at BoxingAsylum.com for our prediction league, which has a $40 cash prize for the winner of the season. And also check out some of our great articles, including Andy Patterson's excellent 5-piece write-up on Roberto Duran. Gentlemen, I thank you all for being here. Any parting words?
Good place.
Thanks for listening. Thanks.
Absolutely. Well, thanks a lot, guys. If you have any questions you'd like to have answered on the show, please send us an email at boxingasylumtv@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and have a great week ahead, fight fans.